Football Modifier. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 1: A Pirated CD. Boss, how much is this plate? Lee Tongfan asked the vendor angrily, holding a pirated version of Football Manager 07, FM07, in his hand, and licking the chocolate in his hand. $10. The vendor was holding a novel called The Godfather of Champions with great concentration, and was reading it with gusto. Without raising his head, he impatiently said two words from his mouth. Fake. You are so proud of selling pirated discs. I want it, Lee. Tongfan felt contempt in his heart, took out a crumpled note from his big pants, threw it confidently on the stall, grabbed the CD, and ran away without a trace. The hawker put down the book in his hand without being satisfied, picked up the money that Lee Tongfan threw in the pile of CDs, unfolded it for a long time, and then cursed. $5? Pick a street boy, and don't let me meet you again. It turned out that what Lee Tongfan still had on the ground was just a 5 UNRMB note. The vendor cursed for a long time, then suddenly showed a lustful smile. Hey, even if you act like a ghost, you still have to drink my foot washing water. The cost of this dish is only 50 cents, and I still earn you 4.5 yuan. I am the invincible dividing line. What a profit. I never expected that a pirated disc could be pirated so professionally. Lee Tongfan returned home and installed Football Manager on his four-hand notebook IBM T30. He was surprised to find that this pirated disc that he bought for 5 yuan actually contained all patches. All the data was currently released by the game company. The latest information, in addition, also comes with FM.mm, data modifier, and the latest version of the scouting tool. Cool. It took 15 minutes to get everything done. Lee Tongfan excitedly clicked on the small game icon on the screen, and the game officially started. Welcome to the world of football games. The familiar voice of CCTV celebrity Huang Jiangxiang came, and the scene at the beginning of the scene gradually unfolded. Why is it different? Lee Tongfan was surprised to find that the starting screen of the game was a bit different. Familiar football stars flashed across the screen. It was so real that they looked exactly like real people. Did you spend 5 yuan to buy a high-end product? Regardless, Lee Tongfan started to set up the game with excitement. Choose a country. Spanish football has been very lively recently. I chose it. League level. Damn. No need to ask. Of course it's La Liga. Only fools play La Liga. Coaching a club. Well, let's choose Real Madrid. It is said that when you first choose this club, the computer will give you a lot of transfer fees, enough to buy a few superstars and a little devil. It will be fun for several seasons. Coach's name, age, country of citizenship. Lee Tongfan filled in his information in detail very honestly. Lee Tongfan, nicknamed Rice Tong, 1984, China. Many people always like to use random nicknames when playing FM, but Lee Tongfan is not like that. Only by filling in your own real information can you have a sense of involvement and be enough. After everything is done, a prompt box pops up on the screen. Do you want to choose personal binding? How do you jump out of this? Lee Tongfan has been exposed to the FM07 series before, and a similar prompt box does not appear. What's going on? Lee Tongfan thought for a while. No matter what, he probably really got a high-end disc, so he clicked the mouse. Yes, hooray. The moment the mouse was dropped, Lee Tongfan suddenly felt dizzy, and his eyesight turned white. It seemed like a lot of things were rushing into his mind. I shook my head, and finally felt better. Fuck. It seems that he and his hands have been having super friendly relationships more frequently recently. It made me suffer from kidney failure. You should exercise some restraint these 2 days. Don't make yourself prematurely old. All the options are settled. Finally enter the game. The news column on the main page of the screen displays the latest news. Fan Tongli took over the hot potato of Real Madrid. The Madrid board of directors confirmed today that Fan Tongli's name will be imprinted on the door of the Santiago Bernabeu head coach's office. Immediately, Fan Tongli, who was born in China, the president said that he is very much looking forward to the upcoming challenge at Real Madrid, and that he is already focusing on the next game against Mallorca. Damn it, tragedy. Fan Tongli? A loser? The nickname was actually used as a name. Only then did Li Tongfan realize that according to English custom, the name is usually placed first and the surname comes last. But if his nickname and surname were reversed, it would become, well, it was a mistake. Li Tongfan didn't want to reload the database to change the name. He was just a loser, admit it. Then read the next message, a personal letter from the president of Real Madrid. This is the most important thing. Look at how much transfer fee Calderon, an old guy with few hairs on his head, gave himself. Our Madrid president Ramon Calderon welcomes you to Santiago Bernabeu. Santiago Bernabeu. He hopes that you will adopt a prudent approach to manage the club and use a more sensible strategy in the transfer market to ensure the long-term development of the club. Ramon Calderon. It was announced that the transfer budget for this season will reach £6.89 million. And the team's salary budget for next season will reach £1.9 million. According to the terms of the contract with the club, you have obtained a contract that expires in June 2007. A contract worth £44,000 a week. Fact. Only 6.9 million transfer fee. After reading the news, Li Tongfan yelled, £6.9 million is not enough, and it can't buy Kaka a thigh. I originally expected to use all the transfer fees to knock Kaka over in one go. What to do? How about reopening? According to random probability, maybe the computer will give you a little more transfer fee, but it's too troublesome. Li Tongfan is a person who is afraid of trouble. Got it. Doesn't that CD also come with FM.mm data modifier? Wouldn't it be enough to use it to modify the amount of the transfer fee? But will this reduce the difficulty of the game? Forget it. Let's not change it. 6.98 million is just 6.98 million. Let's just buy a few young demons with negative potential of 10 and raise them. It's probably enough. Just as Li Tongfan was about to open the scouting tool to search for a few little monsters, he heard his cell phone ringing, and a childish voice shouted, "Master, the phone has come. The phone has come. Why don't you answer the phone?" "What? Bastard is calling right now? Are you disturbing me from playing games?" Li Tongfan answered the phone impatiently. "Which bastard? If you fart, hurry up. Over." The phone. "Ah. Party for dinner. Wahaha. Great. Where is it? Come right away." Li Tongfan, who was in a bad mood, felt extremely happy after answering the phone. Can he be upset if someone treats him to dinner? "I have just been fired by my boss these days. My rent is about to expire. I'm too poor to take the blame, and I'm about to live on the street." Suddenly, a classmate from college invites me to dinner. I feel like I want to sleep and someone gives me a pillow. Exiting the game and turning off the computer, Li Tongfan rode on the second-hand mountain bike he had been riding for 6 years since college and rushed to the party venue excitedly. PS. Because the author always chooses Premier League teams when playing FM, the team names, player names and transfer fees in this book will be in English. I hope all veteran readers will understand. After all, we are writing novels, right? It's just fun. Chapter 2. Please coach Real Madrid. The lanterns are on when the international metropolis TD enters its most leisurely and prosperous time every day. Li Tongfan, who has returned from the party, is lying in his small rental house of less than 20 square meters with anger and cursing. Fake. You stinky bitch who admires foreign things. Lying flat on the bed, with his feet up, and 3 bottles of beer in his stomach. Li Tongfan still couldn't get rid of his anger. Thinking of the scene at today's party, Li Tongfan felt that there was a kitten in his heart that kept scratching and scratching. He wished he could hang up a sandbag and beat him hard to vent his anger. Ah, isn't this our great talent Li? Why is he here riding such a shabby bicycle after working for 2 years? Where does Mr. Li, the great talent, work? He resigned. Couldn't he have been fired? I'm about to go abroad to Spain. Let me introduce to you. This is my fiancé, a Spanish builder. I said you are not young anymore. Why are you still single? Fortunately, we were in front of many college classmates. This woman who was once Li Tongfan's first girlfriend raised her arrogant chin Her snow white neck was as tender as a swan's. Her charming eyes were full of contempt, and she snuggled up to her like a little bird. In the arms of her tall Spanish fiancé, she humiliated Li Tongfan seemingly casually one after another. Li Tongfan's face was at 10, and the classmates around him were chatting and laughing. Only a few friends who were close to him came over, glared at the woman fiercely, patted Li Tongfan on the shoulder, and pulled him aside. Li Tongfan didn't say a word. He was a poor man with short ambitions. Any rebuttal would attract endless ridicule from the other party, but what he said was the truth. Lying on the bed, thinking about the vicious ridicule of his first girlfriend who hung hidden over and over again in his mind, Li Tongfan couldn't help but get up and drank 2 more cans of Tsingtao beer before falling asleep in a daze. Bitch, I'll make you regret it. Li Tongfan decided to start looking for a job tomorrow to make money. He could no longer hang around and live like a man. Invincible dividing line. Bang bang bang. Bang 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 bang. A series of urgent knocks on the door pulled the sleepy Li Tongfan back from Duke Zhao. Could it be the landlord? Or thought flashed through his mind, and Li Tongfan suddenly fell asleep. He had been in arrears with rent for more than 10 days. It must be that fat woman who came to pay the rent again. Sighing, Li Tongfan stood up and patted his face with cold water. In this 1/8 of an hour, he drafted 4 or 5 excuses to deal with the fat landlady and forced out a smile that was uglier than crying. Opened the door carefully. Outside the door were 2 blunt foreigners in suits and leather shoes. I don't know foreigners. Are you looking for the wrong person? Pick. Disturb my sleep. Li Tongfan withdrew his smile and was about to close the door and take a nap. The foreigner closest to the door reacted quickly, pushed the door panel, and stuck his golden head through the crack of the door. He spoke politely in broken Chinese and asked, "Excuse me, are you Mr. Rice Tong?" "Ah. You a loser." Li Tongfan is really angry. Don't think that, just because you are a foreigner, you can curse people casually. If it weren't for the fact that these 2 guys are tall and strong, Li Tongfan might have immediately spread all the bad feelings about the woman he had at the party yesterday on these 2 unlucky foreigners. There are no losers here. If you want to find a loser, please call 110. Li Tongfan angrily uttered a harsh word, pushed the foreigner out, and slammed the door shut with his hands. Fake, you damn foreigner, dare to scold me. However, God has destined that today will be the most extraordinary day in Li Tongfan's life, so when he fell asleep until almost 10 o'clock, the knock on the door rang again. Bang 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 bang. He jumped up and opened the door, and it turned out that fake was still the same 2 foreigners. Whether it's over or not, be careful, I'll sue you for sexual harassment. Li Tongfan was furious and was about to slam the door when suddenly a young man in his mid-20s jumped out from behind the foreigner. He dragged the black briefcase in his hand to the ground, kicked the door open, rushed in and pressed Li Tongfan on the bed. Holding his neck, he screamed with great hatred, "I'm going to strangle you to death, you bastard who found a wife and forgot about your mother. Fake, I'll kill you." Li Tongfan was halfway through his swear words when he suddenly discovered that the Ban-kun who was riding on him with a resentful look on his face was actually his acquaintance, Fan Zhuang, a college classmate. "Didn't your kid go to Spain to be a football reporter? Why are you back again?" Li Tongfan tidied up his messy cabin and asked his old classmates to sit down and talk. The 2 foreigners squeezed in with silly smiles on their faces. They seemed to be Fan Zhuang's acquaintances. "Damn, I have to ask you, how did you become the head coach of Real Madrid? Are you a monkey? Sun Wukong 72 transformations?" Fan Zhuang's eyes were as wide as copper bells. Looking at Li Tongfan, his expression was like looking at an alien, and his whole body was trembling with excitement. Me. Real Madrid coach. Li Tongfan was stunned, immediately stood up, found a cup, poured a cup of boiling water, and then started to look through the drawers. "What are you doing?" Fan Zhuang was confused. "There are still a few tablets of Fenbid left from the last time I had a fever. Drink it quickly and lie down here to rest for a while. I'll call the doctor for you. Thank you." Fan Zhuang replied subconsciously, suddenly realized, rushed over and kicked Li Tongfan to the ground. "I'm not sick. You really became the head coach of Real Madrid. Hello, I'm the dividing line sitting deeply on the leather sofa in the living room of room 1201 of Sheraton, the most luxurious 5-star hotel in TD City. Lee Tongfan felt like he had an absurd dream. Why, if you are like Lee Tongfan, who worked in a shabby advertising company for less than 2 years after graduating from college and was fired because he found out that his boss and his mistress were in close contact in the office and became a vagrant and poor and couldn't even pay the rent of 250 yuan a month, and suddenly someone told you that you will become the head coach of Real Madrid, the greatest club in the 21st century on this planet. You will be as helpless as Lee Tongfan now. It's not a lie, right? This was Lee Tongfan's first reaction after hearing the news. But when Fan Zhuang and the two foreigners drove a business Mercedes to take him to the 5-star Sheraton hotel and showed all the documents and contracts, he realized that, well, this seems to be playing for real. The person in charge of the foreigners is called Carlos Bucero, who is said to be the deputy general manager of Real Madrid club. There are 6 people in total who are responsible for the signing of the head coach this time. As for the big reporter Fan Zhuang, as the chief sports reporter stationed in Madrid by Sohu Sports Channel, he has had a lot of dealings with Real Madrid club in the past 2 years. Therefore, the candidate for the head coach this time is Chinese. So for the sake of convenience, the club's vice president Carlos Bucero invited him to be responsible for liaison matters. Of course, these are not problems. The most important thing is, how could such a ridiculous thing happen? Chapter 3 Absurd Contract. Why would a super-rich club like Real Madrid take a fancy to a little shrimp like me who has never even been exposed to professional football? Frank, today is not April Fool's Day. Lee Tongfan couldn't figure it out. 6 foreigners and old classmate Fan Zhuang were all staring directly at Lee Tongfan sitting on the sofa, waiting for his decision. At a loss, Lee Tongfan sat on the sofa, rubbed his already messy hair into a bird's nest, and subconsciously asked, I don't have a coaching certificate. That's not a problem, Mr. Ricetong, you have it. Carlos Bucero waved his hand, and another foreigner who was a little balding handed over a stack of certificates. Fuck. After all, Lee Tongfan was also a top student who graduated from a prestigious university. After a few glances, he quickly discovered that what the foreigner had brought over was actually a coaching qualification certificate issued by FIFA, a universal certificate issued by FIFA. What the hell? The signature above is actually my own name. Hell, are Martians going to invade Earth? Am I crazy? Or is the whole world crazy? Could it be that FIFA president Sepp Blatter's head was caught in the door panel of their home? Lee Tongfan dared to swear by his still developing curse that he had never participated in any damn training class at all. But where did the pile of C level, B level and A level coaching qualification certificates with his name come from? Could it be that these foreigners are committing fraud? I didn't expect that even foreigners are proficient in such a purely Chinese populist business as certificate processing. The foreigner got a contract in duplicate. The contract stated that Real Madrid was willing to provide Lee Tongfan with a 1-year head coaching contract with a weekly salary of £44,000 and was also willing to give Lee Tongfan a sum of about £7 million. Transfer fees are used to purchase players. As long as Lee Tongfan signs it, then the most mysterious football signing in the history of the earth will be born without precedent or successor. To sign or not to sign, this is a problem. Lee Tongfan picked up his pen, clenched his jaw and thought for a while. He looked at the terms of the contract. Suddenly a thought flashed through his mind like lightning, and he vaguely seemed to grasp something. Is it because of that? Lee Tongfan was stunned by his guess. After pretending to think for a moment, Lee Tongfan raised his head cautiously and asked the foreigner Carlos Bucero, who claimed to be the deputy general manager of Real Madrid, can I take it home and take a look at it first, and I will give you an answer in a few days, Carlos? Bucero looked at Lee Tongfan with confusion. This guy didn't understand Chinese. The foreigner who first appeared outside Lee Tongfan's cabin and spoke broken Chinese quickly came over to translate for him. No problem, Mr. Ricetong, but I hope you can decide as soon as possible, because the transfer period of La Liga is coming soon. After listening to his subordinate's translation, Carlos Bucero readily agreed. However, he still tactfully reminded Lee Tongfan to make a decision as soon as possible. Because after the transfer period begins, major teams begin to buy and sell players, and the head coach's tactical requirements directly determine the team's goals in the transfer market. Therefore, the head coach must be confirmed before the transfer begins on July 1st. Candidate: oh, no problem, Lee. Tongfan agreed wholeheartedly, then grabbed the contract, refused the invitations from the foreigners to have dinner with him on the pretext of being in a hurry, and left the Sheraton Hotel as fast as he could. Also leaving with him was Fan Zhuang. As a professional football reporter, his professional sense of smell allowed him to find that he had caught a piece of blockbuster news that would shock the world of football. Real Madrid hires an unknown rookie as head coach. This is definitely news that can cause earthquakes in the football world. Therefore, he must just follow Lee Tongfan. Invincible dividing line. Is Mr. Calderon crazy? Why should we hire this yellow-skinned pig as the head coach? Less than a second after Lee Tongfan left the room, a handsome young man with chestnut hair among the foreigners couldn't help but ask. This sentence asked everyone's thoughts. If Lee Tongfan were present, he would also be waiting attentively for the answer from the deputy manager, Mr. Bucero. Of course, before that, he wouldn't mind giving this racist guy who calls himself a yellow pig a hard time. Garsha, I don't want to hear anyone slandering Mr. Chairman behind his back. Deputy Manager Bucero glanced at the young man named Garsha with dissatisfaction, and secretly made a mental note to tell Chairman Calderon, when he got back, how he could arrange for such a guy who was not a close confidant to enter the club's sports department. But Garsha obviously didn't realize his problem, and continued to defend with a red neck. Did the chairman ignore the existence of Mr. Capello, just to find such an unknown yellow man to take over? Before today, who knew this guy? The presence, that's enough. Garsha, pay attention to your identity, Carlos. Bucero is obviously angry, although he also cannot understand why the club's board of directors would make such a ridiculous decision. It is obviously not the time to discuss this issue now. As the vice president who was promoted by Calderon after taking office, he must maintain the dignity of his boss. The young and energetic Garsha didn't care so much. As the most loyal family member representative of the club, I have the right to know the inside story. You betrayed the interests of the club. This is definitely a conspiracy. After saying that, Garsha slammed the door and left. The foreigners who stayed in the room all looked very ugly, no matter from which angle. They are now implementing the most absurd and bizarre decision of the board of directors in the history of this club. They will either become a shame or a profit. Their life resumes will definitely be marked with a heavy markup, and, judging from the first impression of Lee Tongfan today, the possibility of becoming a shame tends to be positive infinity. Dividing line. Tell me, what's going on? As soon as Fan Zhuang walked out of the door of the Sheraton Hotel, he forced Lee Tongfan to a hidden corner, and began to torture him severely. I don't know either. Lee Tongfan was telling the truth. Humph, if you don't believe it, tell me quickly. Otherwise, I'll strangle you to death. Reporter Fan began to threaten. Okay. Lee Tongfan was forced to make a determined look and said mysteriously, I can tell you the reason, but you must keep it secret. Fan Zhuang's gossip blood was boiling. Wow, he was about to catch the most shocking football news of this century, and become the most dazzling sports reporter on this planet. He held back his excitement, and nodded his head like a chicken pecking at rice. Lee Tongfan took a deep breath and said earnestly, in fact, I'm a cosmic superman. I have been silently guarding the earth for more than 10,000 years. Recently, I want to coach a team for fun. I discussed it with Real Madrid president Calderon, and the old guy agreed happily. Fan Zhuang. After finally getting rid of Fan Zhuang, a professional gossip man, Lee Tongfan bought a few honey buns in the supermarket at the entrance of the community, and rushed back to his hut. I must carefully verify the shocking hypothesis in my heart. If the hypothesis comes true, then I will be damn rich. This is an opportunity to change the world of football. Chapter 4 Games Manipulate Reality. Lee Tongfan couldn't wait to turn on the computer and start FM 2007. After a series of realistic pictures, he officially entered the game screen. First, take a good look at the terms of the head coach's contract in the game. 1 year, weekly salary of £44,000, transfer fee of £6.89 million, and salary cap of £1.9 million. Then, Lee Tongfan opened the paper contract provided by the foreigner in the hotel and carefully translated the English terms. 1 year, weekly salary of £44,000, transfer fee of £6.89 million, and salary cap of £1.9 million. All the terms are exactly the same. No difference. Fuck. Putting down the contract, Lee Tongfan let out a long sigh and slowly believed in his judgment in his heart. But this conclusion was too incredible, because Lee Tongfan's conclusion is, everything that happens in this game will be fully reproduced in reality. Although this is an extremely absurd conclusion from both innate reason and acquired experience, there is no other reason to explain why Real Madrid club would send a vice president to China to sign this inexplicable head coach contract with him. Once the contract is signed, it means that Real Madrid club is bound by law. Once it breaches the contract, it must pay a valuable penalty. A penalty that Lee Tongfan may never earn in his lifetime. I believe that Calderon, the old man, would not be so stupid as to send his confidant Carlos Bucero from afar to give a stranger who has never met a huge sum of money that cannot be refused. This conclusion is too shocking, and Lee Tongfan decided to confirm it again. So he minimized the game screen, clicked on Baidu Dashan, and carefully searched for some recent information about Real Madrid. Sure enough, Real Madrid club does have a deputy general manager named Carlos Bucero, and then Baidu found this guy's photo and compared it carefully. It is exactly the same as the foreigner he met at the Sheraton Hotel today. In the past 2005-2006 season, Real Madrid performed poorly under the leadership of Brazilian head coach Rosenberg. Rosenberg was fired halfway through the league, and then assistant coach Carlo took over the team. In the end, Real Madrid only won the league runner-up that season, and was suppressed by the old rival Barcelona led by Rijkaard for the second consecutive year, which directly led to the abdication of club president Florentino. The superstar policy failed, and the Galaxy battleship is facing the crisis of sinking. After the new president Calderon took office, finding a head coach suitable for the team became a top priority. As the most successful club in the 20th century, Real Madrid is a symbol of success and honor. Countless world-class coaches are trying their best to coach this club. Of course, this information is not enough for Lee Tongfan to fully confirm the absurd conclusion he has drawn. So before the initial and final choice, it is necessary to take a small measure to test it. Open the game again, enter the main screen, and open FM.mm data editor. Enter Real Madrid in the input box. After clicking search, the main screen of the data editor lists all the players belonging to Real Madrid. Lee Tongfan roughly scanned it and selected the Brazilian player Emerson. After double clicking, he entered Emerson's attribute interface. After thinking for a moment, Lee Tongfan changed the end time of Emerson's contract from June 30th, 2009 to May 2006. In this way, Emerson is no longer a member of Real Madrid in the game, because the game time has reached early July 2006. After the data was modified, Emerson became a free agent. In the real world, Emerson played for Juventus, a giant in Serie A, in the 2005-2006 season. After the season ended, Juventus was relegated to the second division because of the PhoneGate incident. As a big star in the team, Emerson chose to flee Juventus and join Real Madrid, signing a 3-year contract with a weekly salary of £40,500. In other words, Emerson in the real world has only joined Real Madrid for a few days. From any perspective, leaving the team less than 10 days after joining is an extremely absurd thing. If what happened in the game can really be perfectly realized in reality, then in a few days, the news that Emerson, who just joined, has left Real Madrid will be revealed in the international football news next. What Lee Tongfan needs to do is wait for this incredible thing to happen bizarrely in reality. Dividing line for 3 consecutive days. Lee Tongfan did not contact the foreigners at the Sheraton Hotel. In addition to dealing with Fan Zhuang, a super enthusiastic gossip man, he put all his thoughts on the international football section of well-known online media such as **** and Sohu, waiting for this miracle to happen. However, until noon on the third day, there was no sign of trouble. Just when Li Tongfan was about to give up, the following news appeared in the international football section. The peerless war god bids farewell to Real Madrid. The Brazilian king returns to his roots. It is no exaggeration to say that Li Tongfan was moved, like an old man in his 60s or 70s with epilepsy. Li Tongfan's hand holding the mouse began to tremble. Then he took a deep breath and clicked on the news. The latest news from our reporter, Brazilian superstar Emerson, who has just joined Real Madrid this season and has not played a minute for Real Madrid, has reached an agreement with the club to terminate his contract freely. This is really a puzzling decision. We know that Emerson Sen just joined Real Madrid on July 1st this year and played for the club for no more than 10 days. This set the latest record in world football because of Li Tongfan trembled for a long time, then took out his mobile phone from the bed and dialed the mobile number of foreigner Carlos Bucero. Fuck. Invincible. Hey. Dividing line Sheraton Hotel. Li Tongfan picked up the brown signature pen and signed the contract with flying colors. Carlos Bucero is very happy and finally completed the task. To be honest, before coming to China, he never thought that it would be so difficult for the world famous Real Madrid to sign an unknown coach. During the 3 days without contact with Li Tongfan, he once thought that the cooperation would fail. Although even if the cooperation fails, the price is only the loss of a rookie coach. To a certain extent, it can even be regarded as avoiding the loss of profits. But for a club like Real Madrid, not being rejected by champion coaches like Capello and Hiddink, but being humiliated by a rookie, is this different from a elegant millionaire who stretched out his face to sympathize with a beggar, but was embarrassed by this? What's the use of 2 slaps to the skinny beggar? Oh, that's too far off topic, Mr. Fantong. I hope you can arrange your itinerary as soon as possible. We need to return to Madrid within 3 days and hold a press conference to announce your arrival. Okay, just be a loser. Li Tongfan admits it. As for when to go to Spain, Li Tongfan doesn't care at all. Even though I have a super cheating device in my hand, I can still imagine how world football would react if they knew this news. Real Madrid's die-hard fans gathered in large numbers at the stadium or the municipal square to protest. 8 generations of his ancestors were exhumed from their graves and whipped severely by the merciless Spanish and even world media. Domestic media's exaggerated reports such as Chinese dragon enters Real Madrid, Galaxy battleship enters the Red Era have pushed themselves to the forefront of countless netizens' verbal criticisms. Think about the fact that Wenger was ridiculed mercilessly by the English media when he moved from Japan to Arsenal, and you will know that anything is possible. Therefore, after careful consideration and weighing, Li Tongban's positioning for himself is very clear. The ultimate goal of Li Tongban, who holds a super cheating device, is not to become a legend in the coaching world, but it is the £44,000 in the contract provided by Real Madrid. Weekly salary, in this case, being low-key is a must. Chapter 5 Riots at Madrid Airport. Li Tongfan said goodbye to the foreigner, returned to his residence, and called his parents thousands of miles away in the countryside, telling them that he might have to travel for a long time and to get vaccinated in advance if they could not be contacted for a long time. The reason why he did not explain his situation is because Li Tongfan still cannot fully understand the connection between FM 2007 in the computer and reality. If this super heaven-defying cheating device sometimes fails to work, or worse, after a while, if time fails completely, then I guess as the head coach, I'm just a big-headed stupid grasshopper after autumn, who will jump around in a few days. Therefore, talking about it made the second elder even more worried. If you can truly return home and find clothes, it's not too late to show off. After making the call, I went to the construction bank at the gate of the community and exchanged the weekly salary advanced by the foreigner into RMB. I left a golden message to the pure and pretty little lolly salesperson who looked surprised. Note, Li Tongfan solemnly reminded me that it was golden. Gold of gold. Smile. Took a taxi and went straight to the fat lady's landlord's house. In the fat woman's stunned eyes, Li Tongfan coquettishly took out a thick stack of red 100 yuan bills, pulled out 2 from the middle, and handed them over. I finally paid off the arrears of rent, although the rent for 10 days was far less than 200 yuan. But who told us that we have money now? Just consider any extra as a tip. The uncle rewards you. Li Tong and Fan Shuang have become addicted to money and prostitution. After doing all this, Li Tongfan called a few of his closest friends and asked them to come out to a high-end restaurant and have a delicious meal. Before they dispersed, he did not tell his brothers about the strange things that happened to him. If possible, this matter would become a permanent secret. Although Li Tongfan is lazy, he is a very independent person at heart. 8 Sorry, it's me again. The dividing line. Madrid, the capital of Spain. The city of Madrid is located in the middle of the Meseta Plateau of the Iberian Peninsula, with an area of 607 square kilometers, a population of more than 3 million, and an altitude of more than 670 meters. It is the highest capital among European countries. Because of its special geographical location has been known as the Gate to Europe in European history. As a highly modern metropolis, Madrid has always been the political and economic center of Spain. Of course, these are not enough to make it world famous. The city of Madrid is famous largely because of football. There are 3 Spanish league teams here: Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid and Getafe, a satellite city of Madrid. Real Madrid in particular was selected as one of the most successful clubs in the 20th century and has successively introduced players such as Figo, Zidane, Beckham and Ronaldo, and other superstars have joined, plus local stars Raul, Guti and others. The stars are shining, and it has become the supreme holy place in the minds of fans all over the world. June 28, 2006 is a day destined to be recorded in the history of world football. The sky is clear and cloudless. Madrid Airport Departure Hall. Carlos Ruben was sitting on a chair, holding a piece of hamburger in one hand and holding a booklet full of photos of people in the other hand. A brand new professional camera hung on his chest. A pair of smart thin eyes narrowed, and he kept scanning back and forth. The hall, with people coming and going, is like a leopard ready to go, waiting for prey. As a rookie who just graduated from the Sport University of Madrid, Carlos Ruben was so excited that he was lucky enough to join the famous Spanish football media Marca and become a glorious intern reporter. Carlos Ruben was so excited that he didn't sleep for several days. No, less than 2 days. After joining the company, he was sent to stay in the lobby of Madrid Airport by his alcoholic boss. Like him, there are many reporters waiting quietly at various places in Madrid Airport. The reason is simple. The international football transfer market will officially open on July 1st. As soon as the transfer market opens, all major clubs will go all out to recruit and clean up their clubs, and gossip is flying everywhere. Fans all over the world are eagerly awaiting the latest transfer news to determine the latest updates on their favorite teams or stars. This time of year is the season when football reporters' adrenaline hormones are most secreted. Think about it. If you can dig out first-hand information on various heavyweight football transfers, promotion and salary increase will no longer be a dream. Everything will be at your fingertips. What a seductive picture. As a giant in international football, Real Madrid makes huge waves in the transfer market every year. Madrid Airport is the easiest place to find all the latest clues, regardless of stars, various agents, or club coaches. As long as they have a relationship with Real Madrid, they will appear at the only international airport in Madrid for the first time. Therefore, Madrid Airport has become the first base for major football media to find prey. Ruben finished chewing the burger in his hand, couldn't help but burped, and threw the paper in his hand into the trash can next to him. Oh, I haven't slept for 2 days and 2 nights, and I haven't noticed anything. Ruben was about to lie down on the bench and squint for a while, but suddenly he froze. Like a jealous male lion seeing his mate, he stared straight at the passenger passage. Wow, God, let me see who this is. Haha, Mr. Carlos Bucero. Why is he here? Ruben looked at the 7 or 8 men in suits wearing sunglasses coming out of the passenger passage and immediately recognized Carlos Bucero, the deputy general manager of Real Madrid club, who was walking in front. His professional sense told him that the opportunity for promotion and salary increase had come. Everyone knew that Carlos Bucero was looking for a head coach for the club. But why did he suddenly appear here? Ruben quickly turned on the camera and took countless photos. Suddenly, a strange oriental face appeared in the camera, young and immature. Who is this person? A big question was drawn in Ruben's mind. but this is not a problem to consider now. While thinking, he continued to take pictures without hesitation. No matter who he is, as long as there are these photos, no matter what nonsense the newspapers say, they will attract a lot of attention. In a few minutes, Ruben used up the newly installed roll of film and the camera. Other reporters who were waiting in the waiting hall of Madrid airport took the same action as Ruben. The slightly dim waiting hall was full of flashing lights, like chaotic thunder in a rainstorm. It was not until Carlos Bucero and his party left the hall, got on the club's special car and drove away, that everything returned to calm. Ordinary passengers in the hall were dazzled by the sudden flashing lights, and looked around to see if there were any stars. The next morning, Madrid fans who care about football suddenly found that the media were all reporting the same thing with all their efforts, a slightly more subtle title. Real Madrid's deputy general manager returns, accompanied by a mysterious Asian man. A shocking title. Exclusive revelation. Mysterious Asian youth will acquire Real Madrid. A suspenseful title. Who is he? The gossip type title. Carlos Bucero returns to Madrid with his Asian illegitimate child among all the reports. The 7th news item on the 6th page of the 5th edition of Marca mentioned this. Real Madrid may welcome a mysterious coach, and a photo of Tongfan and Carlos Bucero walking out of Madrid airport together is attached below. Fortunately, Tongfan doesn't understand Spanish. Otherwise, even if he is mentally prepared to enter the football circle, which is 100 times more entertaining than the entertainment circle, he would be scared to death after seeing these reports. The Spanish media's ability to talk nonsense in some aspects is obviously far behind that of asterisk and so who in China. It's a pity that any rational Madrid citizen can't believe such ridiculous remarks, and the relevant news has been treated as a topic of conversation and jokes after dinner. Chapter 6. Discovering cheating methods in games. At this moment, Tongfan was attending the board meeting of Real Madrid Club. The club president Calderon, who was a lawyer, was talking freely, and the board members were sitting upright, creating a harmonious atmosphere. Tongfan was curious, and kept scanning the Spanish gentlemen present, trying to see from their expressions whether they had been kicked in the head by a donkey, or had entered menopause early. And they actually voted unanimously to make him the head coach. Such an absurd decision. But he was disappointed. All the board members were beaming, as if they had spent a lot of effort to invite the madman Magic Bird who swept the football world, rather than an excellent rookie who got the coaching qualification certificate. Inexplicably. There was a joke in my mind. Tongfan secretly despised these well-dressed guys. And at the same time he couldn't help but be surprised by the amazing football editor in his forehand notebook. It actually presented the most incredible things in reality without any flaws. Gentlemen, let's welcome the club's new head coach, the lovely Chinese Mr. Glutton. Calderon made a joke and was the first to applaud, and the others followed suit, and the conference room became a sea of harmony. Then the meeting was adjourned, and Calderon met with Tongfan alone. Oh, not alone, because there was also a beautiful female translator with a stunning figure. Dear Glutton, a press conference will be held in the afternoon. Do you have any requests? No, that won't do. As the greatest club in the world, we must maintain close and friendly relations with our friends in the news media. Moreover, holding a press conference is a responsibility to all Real Madrid fans. All of the above are simultaneous translations by the hot female translator. Tongfan looked at Calderon's enthusiastic old face and muttered in his heart, "Isn't this pushing me to the crater?" Imagine the hot-blooded and ferocious expressions of reporters from various countries at the press conference after they learned of this shocking news. Just like wild dogs finding pig bones. Tongfan only felt a chill running up from his feet to his forehead. Okay. Tongfan agreed reluctantly. Also, as the new head coach of the club, I hope you can propose your own coaching plan as soon as possible. Do you need to bring a few of your own assistants? Hearing Calderon say this, Tongfan suddenly remembered that it seemed that those big-name coaches such as Magic Bird and Benitez would generally bring their trusted assistant coaches, team doctors, scouts, and other messy relatives to join the team's coaching team after finding a new club. However, he obviously did not have such a wide network of contacts, so where could he find any assistants? Thinking of the coaching career that was about to begin, Tongfan was at a loss. Damn, it was really boring to be alone in this unfamiliar foreign country. Why not find a good friend to accompany him? Let's die together. Thinking of this, Lee Tongfan asked tentatively, I do have an assistant. I wonder if the club can hire him. No problem, Calderon said straightforwardly. The sports department will help you with this matter soon. Please remember that the press conference will be held at 3 p.m. and I hope you will attend on time. The club has solved your housing problem. Next, Miss Alex will take you to visit the Bernabeu Stadium. I will not accompany you. See you in the afternoon, dear glutton. The hot translator girl smiled at Lee Tongfan seductively, almost killing Lee Tongfan. Old Lee is a pure person. How can he bear this? It turns out that this girl is called Alex. After Lee Tongfan visited the world famous Bernabeu Stadium under the kind guidance of the ecstatic female translator Alex, he came to the apartment rented by the club for him. This is a single building located in the wealthy area near the Bernabeu Stadium, with bright white walls, bright red tiles, and peace and tranquility. It has the atmosphere of an ancient farm, and Lee Tongfan fell in love with this place at first sight. The small building has 2 living rooms, 6 bedrooms, 2 garages and an outdoor swimming pool. All living facilities are available. Compared with the small house of more than 10 square meters in China without even a separate bathroom, this place is simply a paradise. Impatiently sending away the hot female translator Alex, who kept winking at him, the unromantic Lee Tongfan rushed into the house with chairs and rolled countless times on the velvet double bed. Liu Leo entered the Grandview garden and was overwhelmed. Half an hour later, finally calming down his ecstatic mood, Lee Tongfan began to carefully analyze his current situation. First of all, he did become the head coach of Real Madrid, and the countless blue bruises on his legs that were pinched by himself and still ached proved that he was not dreaming. Secondly, as a head coach who came out of nowhere, he actually has no ability at all. He is a typical Mr. Nanjiuo. If he doesn't take some remedial measures, he will soon be exposed, and the end will be terrible. Finally, the key to everything is that he has a super invincible cheat in his hand. He can control the Real FM 2007 game. What worries Lee Tongfan the most now is that, in addition to transfer matters, other things simulated in the game, such as the team's game results, may not be exactly the same in reality. If so, will only the results after saving the game be realized in reality? If the above assumptions come true, then as long as I simulate the results of the game countless times in the game, and finally save the data of the undefeated team, wouldn't the Real Madrid I lead in reality also achieve an undefeated record? Thinking of this, Lee Tongfan was excited again. If all the speculations are true, then as long as I want, I can become the head coach in the world who has never lost. This will be an unprecedented achievement. An achievement that surpasses everyone. Moreover, don't forget that FM07 also has scout tools and FM point millimeters data modifier. As long as you want, you can modify any data at will. Just think about it. You can modify a player with low potential and obscurity into a future star with full potential, and create countless Zidane, Owen, and Beckham style field geniuses. Thinking of this, Lee Tongfan's heart beat hard, and a mythical era will unfold in his hands. Point 8. What a shame. It's me again. The shrinking dividing line. Although Carlos Ruben was the first to take pictures of Carlos Bucero and the mysterious Asian man at the airport, and boldly predicted that the mysterious Asian man is likely to be the new head coach of Real Madrid, his bold prediction was too bold, so his article was only published in the 7th article in the middle of the 6th page of the 5th page of Marca that day, and did not cause much response. To be honest, the reason why Ruben's absurd prediction could be published in Marca was mainly because his alcoholic boss Raul Nunez was actually the underground lover of Ruben's charming mother. Of course, Ruben didn't know this. Because of this prediction, Ruben has been teased by all his colleagues as a child prophet, and has been regarded as a big joke. For this reason, Ruben has been sitting at his desk with his head down for an afternoon. I suddenly feel that the pace is a bit slow, because I haven't gotten to the point yet. It was originally the outline of a football novel, but as I wrote it, it actually had an urban flavor. I will speed up the pace as soon as possible. I hope that all readers will not be stingy with their votes and click to collect more. Those who have money can support the show with money, and those who don't have money can support the show with their bodies. Thank you. Chapter 7. Mountains roaring and seas rising. Legend has it that there is a group of readers who are between A and C one day. They found an online article called Football Modifier. After reading it in one breath, they recommended and collected it. The next day, a miracle happened. The lottery ticket they bought won 5 million. The girlfriend they had been in love with for many years finally agreed to marry, and the stingy boss actually gave them a raise and promotion. Hey, what are you waiting for? Dividing line ding ling ling. The phone rang, and Ruben picked it up nonchalantly. After listening to a few words, he jumped up excitedly. Okay, I got it. Don't worry, boss, there will be no problem this time. After hanging up the phone, Ruben hurriedly picked up his briefcase and camera, as if he had taken Viagra, and went out to drive wildly in the surprised eyes of his colleagues. On the other side, Ruben's alcoholic boss and underground godfather Nunez was sitting in his office, pouring a glass of rich 1982 Lafite, sniffing it gently, and showing an intoxicated smile. Go, little guy. For your mother's sake, I hope you won't mess things up this time. In the corner of the desk, there was an invitation with the Real Madrid club's team logo printed on it. Ruben drove all the way, and finally arrived at the Real Madrid club's press conference hall on time before 3 o'clock. After running through 3 red lights, there were already crowds of people here. In the space of more than 100 square meters, all the well-known and unknown media workers gathered together and discussed loudly. Hey, man, is there any new news? I heard that the club has confirmed the new head coach. It should be a press conference. Wow. Is it Capello? Or Schuster? I think it should be Hiddink. You know, only a tough head coach like Hiddink is worthy of leading a team like Real Madrid to victory. It is estimated that the speaker is a Dutch Real Madrid fan. Damn it, I think it should be Mourinho. The madman reigns in the Bernabeu. You are mentally retarded. Our handsome Jose will not leave the great Chelsea. Khan. The national curse came out, and the speaker seemed to be a fanatical Chinese Chelsea fan. Ruben turned a blind eye to the crazy quarrels of his predecessors. Although he was a newcomer in this industry, he had seen this scene countless times. He quietly squeezed to the front, set up the camera, and waited for the press conference to start. For some reason, Ruben had a strange feeling in his heart, always feeling that something amazing was about to happen. At 1500 hours on June 30th local time in Spain, the press conference officially began. The noisy reporters saw the press officer of Real Madrid club come in and knew that they were going to get to the point, so they immediately quieted down. Sure enough, after the press officer said a few polite words on the stage, the club chairman Calderon, general manager Mijatovic and honorary chairman Di Stefano came out from the backstage first, and the last one was an Asian youth wearing sunglasses. Ruben recognized at a glance that this Asian youth was the one he saw at the airport. An absurd thought suddenly rose from the bottom of his heart. Could it be? Other reporters saw the few people who appeared, and after a little surprise, they also began to whisper, "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for showing up here on time. Although this is not the first time you have done this." Mijatovic spoke first. The former Real Madrid striker is now the general manager of the club. His shiny slicked back hair sets off his high-spirited face. Today I'm honored to introduce the club's new head coach, Lee the Chinese Glutton. The Glutton is the candidate unanimously agreed by the club's board of directors. He will lead the club to victory after victory in the next year. Before Mijatovic finished speaking, the reporters below were like rats in a nest, in a mess, and all the cameras were aimed at the young man in sunglasses sitting next to Calderon. Obviously, the Glutton in Mijatovic's mouth was this guy. Got. The reporter from us began to groan in pain, unable to believe what he heard. It's April Fool's Day today. Have I drunk too much? The bearded reporter of Daily Sports breathed out in disbelief, his mouth full of alcohol. Well, he was indeed a little drunk. Chinese? Not Capello, nor Hiddink. Who knows where this guy with sunglasses came from? Allah, who can tell me who this guy called Rice Bucket is? The speaker was an Arab bearded reporter. The press conference hall was like a handful of salt sprinkled into a slightly heated oil pan, and it immediately boiled. Of course, there were also people among the reporters who kept calm, such as Chinese reporter Fan Zhuang and marker intern Ruben. who held the camera and took pictures crazily, like soldiers holding submachine guns and shooting desperately. Lee Tongfan didn't understand what these reporters were saying. Seeing Poldarin and Majatovic's embarrassed faces, it was estimated that these guys didn't say anything good. So Leoli put on an international dead face, neither sad nor happy, and didn't look sideways after the 5-minute photo time was over. It was the turn of Real Madrid honorary president Di Stefano and Lee Tongbum to show off the Real Madrid number 1 jersey with the word Fantangly printed on it. The old man pulled a long face, as if the people of the world collectively owed him 2.5 million bills, and handed the jersey in his hand to Lee Tongfan. He didn't even say a polite word like "come on, congratulations" or "young and promising," and turned around and left the press conference hall from the backstage. The sharp-eyed reporter noticed this scene and quietly wrote it down. Obviously, there will be news about the disagreement among the top management of Real Madrid in the newspaper tomorrow. Lee Tongfan took the jersey very naturally and was not surprised at the behavior of the old man Di Stefano. Speaking of which, this legendary superstar of Real Madrid is the hardcore fan who really hopes that the club can reproduce the glory of the last century. Obviously, the old man can't understand why the club board hired a shitty guy to coach the team. Lee Tongfan respects this upright old man very much, so he is going to return Di Stefano with a record that will make other teams in the world collapse. In order to win the respect of the old man, after showing the jersey, it finally entered the heavyweight part of the press conference. Reporters' questions. Excuse me, who are you? The first person to ask the question was a reporter from World Sports. As a pro-Barcelona media, this middle-aged uncle had a mocking expression, gloating. The ecstatic female translator Alex hesitated for a moment, but still translated the reporter's words to Lee Tongfan. "I'm your uncle." Lee Tongfan cursed in his heart, mocking me. "Be careful that I will imitate the awesome Chinese Football Association and ban you in the future." But Leoli is not stupid, so he naturally can't curse seriously. Because he was wearing large sunglasses, outsiders couldn't see his expression. Lee Tongfan completely ignored the middle-aged uncle with bad intentions and directly signaled the next reporter to ask questions. A beautiful blonde girl stood up and asked, "Can you introduce yourself?" "Fuck, what's the difference between this and the previous question?" Lee Tongfan continued to ignore it with a frown. The little beauty's big watery eyes threw a white sanitary ball all over the floor and sat back awkwardly. The next few questions were not much different from this, and Lee Tongfan ignored them all very toughly. The atmosphere on the scene was a bit awkward. Fan Zhuang, a famous reporter from Soho and an old classmate, squeezed in the crowd and sweated for Leoli. The non-violent non-cooperation attitude is most likely to anger the media. Fan Zhuang is very clear about the consequences. If your coaching results are smooth, it's fine. But as long as there is a fluctuation, the media will definitely spare no effort to blacken you and belittle you until you fall into the 18th level of hell. Please, I'm not very good at writing about the press conference. There are many procedures I don't understand. I hope that the knowledgeable people will not ridicule me. Thank you for your enthusiastic support. I will spend some money on one chapter tonight and update one chapter for 3,000. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 8. Be a Loyal Hyena. Sohu reporter and old classmate Fan Zhuang squeezed into the crowd to help Leoli. The attitude of non-violence and non-cooperation is most likely to anger the media. Fan Zhuang knows the consequences of this very well. If your coaching performance is smooth sailing, that's all. Once there is a fluctuation, the media will definitely spare no effort to discredit you until you fall into the 18th level of hell. Thinking of this, Fan Zhuang felt that he had to help this silly old classmate. He stood up and asked, "How do you feel sitting here as the new head coach of Real Madrid?" He speaks Chinese. Lee Tongfan replied in a very domineering manner in the authentic dialect of his hometown. "Sir, you will know after you sit down and try it yourself." The female translator Alex understood Fan Zhuang's question, but did not understand Lee Tongfan's answer. After being stunned for a moment, she took it upon herself to give a very official answer. I'm very happy to be sitting here. My dream for many years is finally achieved, until this time, the reporters finally realized that if they investigated the origin of this guy wearing sunglasses, they would definitely not get any valuable information. So they changed their strategies and tried their best to ask roundabout news about the team, hoping to get some information from them. This newbie has some bombshells out of his mouth. As the head coach of Real Madrid, but you don't speak Spanish. Will this have an impact on your coaching, Leo? Lee continued to say nothing with a sullen international dead face, and the considerate female translator Alex answered for him. Football is a common language. Do you think you can continue the team's winning tradition? Alex smiled slightly. The desire for victory has long been integrated into my blood. What tactical style will you employ? Alex scratched his head. I'm a follower of beautiful offensive football. There is a lot of interest in whether you will be involved in other things at the club. What can you tell us about that? Alex Ming. I don't want to talk about what happened in the locker room. It is said that you have divided the players in the team into direct descendants and collateral descendants. Is this true? Alex adjusted his skirt. It's unfair to make such comments about players without meeting them. Which position on the team are you most satisfied with? Which position are you least satisfied with? Alex swept her blonde hair. I'm very satisfied with every position. Well, Lee Tongfan sat in his seat, looking at the female translator Alex, who was getting more and more into the state with a puzzled expression. He found that he had completely turned into a decoration. This was simply a personal match for this girl with an incredible figure. Press conference. Calderon and Medjatovic were sitting on the high platform, their expressions as usual. Fuck. Lee Tongfan cursed in his heart. These two old guys must have arranged this deliberately, because they were afraid that a rookie like him would say the wrong thing. But reporters don't say who said it. As long as someone answers the question, no matter what he said, he will be named the new head coach of Real Madrid. They always do this. It's a pity that, although Alex is big-hearted, he is not brainless and his answers are spot on. As a result, the salted press conference continued until it ended half an hour later. The disappointed and excited reporters left the conference hall 3 times before turning around. Since then, countless phone calls have been made, countless faxes have been sent, and countless emails have been sent. Centered in Madrid, with modern high-tech communication methods, a world-shaking news has flooded around the world like a tide. If the British CIA accepts a private commission, then I believe that the world's major football media will not hesitate to spend huge sums of money to hire 007 to find out whether this guy named Ding Tongli is God's old man, illegitimate child. Otherwise, how could he be so lucky? After attending the press conference, Alex took Lee Tongfan to the Real Madrid training base Real Madrid Sports City Point. At this time, the players' summer vacation has ended, and they have all returned to the club to report. The senior players of the first team and several young players from the second team Castilla are undergoing recovery training at the beginning of the season together as the team's new head coach. Lee Tongfan must meet with his players as soon as possible, but before that, he is still preparing to meet with the team's assistant coach Greed and listen to some detailed reports about the team in the head coach's office with his name on it. Lee Tongfan met assistant coach Grad, a mature and steady handsome middle-aged man. The team's original assistant coach Carlo replaced the Brazilian Rosenberg as the interim head coach in the middle of last season. He led Real Madrid to second place in the league amidst the chaos, but he never got a new appointment from the club's management. After the season, terminated his contract with Real Madrid in anger and accepted the invitation of Levante, another La Liga team, to become the team's head coach. Grad was originally the first team coach of Real Madrid and has been working at the club for 7 or 8 years. Whether it is his ability or his affection for the team, he is deeply loved by the club management and players, so it is natural that he will be promoted to Lee Tongfan in the new season. Assistant coach, hello, it's a pleasure to work with you, and I hope we have a pleasant cooperation. As a foreign monk who didn't know how to chant sutras at all, Lee Tongfan kept a very low profile. As soon as Grad entered the door, Lee Tongfan took the initiative to extend his hand. Oh, I hope you can lead the team to victory, at least do a little better than your predecessor. Seeing Lee Tongfan's enthusiastic face, Grad's originally a little tense and relaxed a little point. To be honest, as a loyal fan of the team, Grad was very prejudiced against hiring an unknown rookie like Lee Tongfan to coach the team, so he had no intention of giving Lee Tongfan any good looks. Greed secretly prayed in his heart, being suppressed by the arch-rival Barcelona for 2 consecutive years. The club can no longer withstand the torment at all. I hope this new personnel appointment will not be the beginning of a tragedy. Lee Tongfan is well aware of Grad's indifference. If he wants to win the respect of others, he must let his achievements speak for himself. Lee Tongfan didn't talk nonsense and got straight to the point. He politely asked Greed to introduce the general situation of the team. Of course, the communication between the two people is indispensable without the help of Alex, the ecstasy translator. Okay. Greed is a very competent assistant coach. Before Lee Tongfan could finish speaking, he took out a stack of detailed information from the black folder he carried with him and began to report carefully. There are a total of 27 people in the first team. The best players in the front, middle and back lines are, according to the current lineup, if you want to win the league championship this season, you need to introduce 1 or 2 capable players, especially the central defender position. 5 minutes later, Grad finished the introduction and handed all the information to Lee Tongfan. To be honest, although he is a fan and knows many stars, Lee Tongfan has never known Real Madrid in such detail as he does today. After thinking for a moment, Lee Tongfan decided not to express his position yet. Because all of my decisions must be made with reference to the FM 2007 Football Manager in my notebook. Apart from that, I can do nothing. This is a secret that must be in my own hands. Thinking of this, Lee Tongfan no longer wanted to meet the team's big name stars. Although as an ordinary fan, I dreamed of seeing Beckham, Ronaldo and other stars in person every day. But now I'm the head coach of the team, right? If you want to meet the high-flying stars, you have plenty of time and opportunities. After casually chatting with his future partner, Grad, to play the emotional card and then telling Alex something, Lee Tongfan bypassed the training ground and headed home. None of the big name players who were training seriously on the court noticed their head coach passing by. Finally, in the uproar of the football press, the news that a mysterious Chinese young man named Ding Tong Li took over Real Madrid finally spread, setting off a tsunami in the world of football. In France, Germany, England, and Russia. In Argentina, Brazil. In any corner of the planet where football is played, Lee Tongfan's name is talked about enthusiastically. Who is he? This was everyone's first reaction. After learning the news, Flores, editor-in-chief of the Spanish pro-Barcelona media Mundo Deportivo, gloated in his column. The 2006-2007 La Liga season ended before it even started. I don't know why the directors of Real Madrid thought that hiring an inexperienced rookie could compete with Frank Rijkaard's dream second team, but it's obvious that, for Real Madrid, this season will be another painful journey. There is no doubt that the final champion will be the great Barcelona team. Of course, the most interesting and violent reaction occurred in distant China. Fan Zhuang is the first person among all Chinese journalists to grasp this news. After attending the press conference of Real Madrid's new head coach, Fan Zhuang immediately compiled all the information he knew into a wonderful album and sent it to China as quickly as possible. After doing all this, Fan Zhuang brewed himself a cup of Blue Mountain butter coffee. Watching the faint mist rising in the cup, he felt an inexplicable impulse in his heart. This is definitely an opportunity, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. His college classmate has inexplicably become the head coach of the most famous football club in the world. For him as a football reporter, there is nothing more wonderful than this. From now on, I will definitely be able to get the news about Real Madrid 10 or even 1,000 steps ahead of others. Of course, the premise of everything is that you must be good to yourself. A college classmate who has been somewhat alienated because of no contact for a long time after graduation. I must be like the loyal hyena kept in captivity by Lee Tongfan, using the sharp pen in my hand to bite all the voices that question the master and be a thorough and complete defender of Lee. From now on, everyone will be prosperous and suffer losses. Jingle bell. The phone rang, and Fan Zhuang answered the phone. A familiar voice came from the phone. It was the editor-in-chief of Sohu International Football Edition. Zio Fan, is the news true? Usually, mistakes can be made, but this kind of news must not be an own goal. Of course Fan Zhuang knew what news the editor-in-chief was referring to. Editor Wang, don't worry, it's absolutely true. Report it to the newspaper quickly, otherwise you'll lose the chance. Okay, I believe you, Kit. If we die, we will die together. Tens of minutes later, Sohu Online Games browsed several messages like this on the webpage. Red blood takes over Real Madrid, and one tray makes Capello shy away. The Chinese dragon is entrenched at the Santiago Bernabeu, and the Galacticos are happy to be at the helm. When netizens figured out the content of the message, the forum exploded. A netizen left a message. The editor-in-chief of Sohu International Football Edition is a Martian. The identification has been completed. Still, netizens left a message, gathering around to watch the Lan Tao Big Xiaobing. Stay in formation downstairs. Watch, keep in formation. Prostitutes are mentally retarded. How dare they expose such ridiculous lies? This unscrupulous prostitute named Fan Zhuang. Your mother asked you to go home for dinner. Please. Assistant coach Grad is a fictitious character. Please don't get to the bottom of it and confuse it with reality. PS. The chapter in the morning was a bit watery, so I will update a chapter with a price of more than 3,000. I just took a look at the new book list, and I found that football modifier can be on the list. If I work harder, will it make it? This is a problem. In fact, I hope that the Sohu International Football Edition will also have a message like Football Modifier Collection Recommendation Saw, and the Crazy Sword in troubled times is smiling. Everyone understands what I mean, right? Hey. Chapter 9 Using Games to Determine the Fate of Stars. Back in the single-family apartment, Li Tongfan, who had no idea that the international football world was in chaos, ate a few pieces of honey bread brought from China, took a cold shower, took out 4 IBM T30s from the suitcase, and couldn't wait to click on the Football Manager 2007 game. Enter the Real Madrid archives and take a closer look at the composition of the team's first team. In the game, there are 28 players in Real Madrid's first team, who are goalkeepers, number 1 Iker Casillas, number 13 Diego Lopez, number 28 Adden, number 29 Casilla. Defenders, number 2 Michel Salgado, number 3 Roberto Carlos, number 4 Sergio Ramos, number 5 Cannavaro, number 11 Cicinho, number 12 Marcelo, number 15 Raul Bravo, number 21 Ivan Hilgura, number 22 Paco Pavone, number 24 Alvaro Mejia midfielder, number 6 Diarra, number 14 Guti, 1-1s, number 23 David Beckham, number 26 Javi Garcia, number 27 Delare Del Red forwards, number 7 Raul, number 10 Robinho, number 17 Van Nistelrooy, number 18 Cassano, number 20 Higuain. As a senior Football Manager fan, Li Tongfan's favorite formation, which is also used in the game, is the 4-1-2-1-2 diamond midfield position. That is, the 4 defenders position in parallel, and the 4 midfielders are divided into 1 interception, a powerful beast midfielder, an attacking midfielder with excellent technical awareness, and a technical winger with strong sprinting ability and fast speed. As for the forward line, he is a tactical center with strong impact and good passing and control, and a shadow forward who is fast, has good skills, and has outstanding awareness of grabbing points. Therefore, Li Tongfan thought about it, and decided to adopt such offensive tactics in reality. I carefully analyzed the team's lineup in the game and carefully checked the attribute columns of each player's technical, physical, and mental attributes. I found that this lineup does require small-scale adjustments, as assistant coach Grad said. First of all, on the backline, the fullbacks include Robert Carlos, Ramos, Marcelo and others, but the centre-back position must be supplemented. In addition to Cannavaro, whether it is Bravo, Pavin or Mejia, none of his abilities are qualified to be the team's main central defender. Secondly, in the midfield, Robinho, Marcelo, and Riaz are all capable of playing the role of wingers. Although Beckham is a bit slower, he has good physical strength, a large running range, and has an elusive cross and free kick. The ball can also be used as a winger. As for the defensive midfielder, Mohamed Diarra and Fernando Gago can be rotated. Instead, they are the attacking midfielder. In addition to Guti, a substitute who can adapt to tactical requirements is also needed. The most perfect thing is the forward. Ruud van Nistelrooy can be used as a tactical center, and Raul, Ronaldo, Lee Tongfan's favorite, Cassano and Higuain can be qualified as shadow forwards. The personnel are completely sufficient. Based on the above situation, Lee Tongfan found that the team is in urgent need of an excellent central defender and an aura midfielder with good technical awareness. Of course, if possible, a defensive midfielder should be introduced. After all, Gago's physical interception ability is slightly worse. Thinking of this, Lee Tongfan raised his head and carefully considered which outstanding players in his image could be candidates. There are many excellent players who can serve as the main force of a giant like Real Madrid in the central defender position, such as Chelsea's John Terry, Manchester United's Ferdinand, Inter Milan's Materazzi, Roma's Chivu, Mex's and others, but these people have no talent. If they are not the backbone of their respective teams, even if their clubs are willing to sell them, they are not something they can afford with less than 7 million transfer fees. This is especially true for the attacking midfielder position. After thinking about it for a while, I really no clue. Lee Tongfan stood up and drank a glass of water. He couldn't help but secretly scold Calderon, an old guy, for actually giving him a transfer fee of £6.98 million. What a penny. Alas, Kaká is definitely out of business. As a Super Football Manager fan, Lee Tongfan is very fond of Kaká. In fact, if you really think about it, Lee Tongfan wrongly blamed Calderon. Without FM 2007, a super cheating device, where would he be the head coach of the team if it were to develop according to reality? After the end of last season, Juventus was relegated to Serie B due to the Calciopoli, and its head coach Capello had already reached a verbal agreement with Real Madrid to take over Real Madrid. Therefore, the team's summer transfers have always been carried out according to Capello's ideas, and they have spent €64 million to introduce Cannavaro, Ruud van Nistelrooy, and Emerson. Poor China has been verified by Lee Tongfan. The game's guinea pigs were modified from Real Madrid. Realize another's point as a result, after using FM 2007 to modify it. It was the rookie Lee Tongfan who came. Although Capello did not come, the players appointed by Capello have been transferred to Real Madrid. Therefore, it is impossible for the club to spend big money to buy players. Being able to give Leoli a transfer fee of nearly £7 million is already very interesting. Lee Tongfan was thinking while drinking water. He downed 3 bottles of mineral water in one breath, but still had no clue. He was about to give up when suddenly a thought flashed through his mind. By the way, don't we also have a scouting tool? Haha, as long as you use the scouting tool to search the game database, you will be dissatisfied with all the high quality and cheap monster players. This is another super invincible cheating weapon. As long as you enter the search requirements in the scouting tool, all players who meet the conditions will be listed at a glance. Isn't this much more cost effective and faster than arranging scouts all over the world to search? More importantly, the players searched through the scouting tool are all genuine. There is no chance that some unscrupulous scouts paid a lot of money to buy them because they took dirty money to tell lies or have low ability to identify players' potential. The risk of parallel imports. Thinking of this, Lee Tongfan did what he said, opened the scouting tool with great interest, entered his requirements, and after repeated comparisons, finally decided on the candidates for the centre-back and attacking midfielder. To be honest, when Lee Tongfan saw the names of these two people, he couldn't help but slap his head and call himself a fool. Why didn't he think of these two calves? These two geniuses are quite famous in reality. They are economical and have unlimited development potential. More importantly, these two guys are calf demons who can fight. As soon as they come, Lee Tongfan crossing rushed out of his pen and wrote down the names of the two people, preparing to hand it over to Mijatovic, the general manager in charge of the club's transfer matters, to handle the transfer of these two people tomorrow. After handling the matter of buying players, we have to consider slimming down the first line pair. According to Lee Tongfan's habit, it is best for the first team to have no more than 24 people, so some players must leave. Looking at the team's first team candidates on the game screen, picking and choosing, Lee Tongfan identified Bravo, Pavin, Mejia, and Hilgura as the team's discarded players who were no longer needed. In Li Tongfan's so-called tactical system, there is really no place for these 4 people. Li Tongfan also wrote down the names of the 4 people and planned to hand them over to the club's general manager Mijatovic tomorrow. Let this guy handle the offending matters. Wow, everything is done. Please, this chapter is a bit watery because I want to introduce Real Madrid's lineup a little to facilitate the subsequent plot, so there is a little more information and a little less interesting. I'm sorry. Regarding the conflict between the lineup in the book and reality, Xiaodao will open a separate chapter to explain the reasons. The tactical issues are set like this for now, and we will change them if necessary, in order to express our apology, and to express our gratitude to our brothers for their tireless support in the past 2 days. We will update it 3 times today. The first update is at 10 o'clock, the second update is at 16:30, and the third update is at 2300 hours. Let's take a precaution first. Modifier restrictions will appear today, which is very obscene. I hope you all like the setting of the knife. We feel very uneasy now. I still have the essence in my hand. Old friends can go to the book review area to fill in the water. The knife will not be stingy with the essence drops. First come first served, while supplies last. Chapter 10. Character determines destiny. After worrying about the team lineup, there is still a huge hurdle in front of Leoli, language barrier. As the head of the team, if he relies on translators to communicate with the players every day, it is really not up to standard. Moreover, who knows whether the translator can accurately convey his meaning to the players? It is better to rely on oneself than on others. You must master Spanish as soon as possible. However, it is not easy to master a language. Even if you invite the best tutor in the world, with Li Tongfan's language talent of an ugly daughter-in-law is hard to meet her parents-in-law. I'm afraid that it will not be possible without 3 to 5 months of hard work. Worry. Li Tongfan scratched his messy hair into a bird's nest again. Leoli stared at the game screen on the notebook with a sad face, and an idea suddenly popped up in his messy head. Can the language be cheated by modifying the game? The thought flashed through his mind like lightning. Li Tongfan could no longer sit still. He could not wait to open the head coach's attribute page and observe carefully. The game screen was displayed as follows. Personal information. Li Tongfan, male, born in 1984, 22 years old, intercontinental reputation, position head coach, spiritual attributes, financial control, 10 discipline management, 10 devotion index, 10 club/player loyalty, 10 use of domestic players, 10 tactical variability, 10 tactical information, preferred formation, 4-4-2 pressure method, mixed coaching style, balanced game mentality, dare to attack marking method, zone pressing contract information, type, full-time contract start, June 29, 2006 end, June 2007 monthly 30 salary. 44,000 per week, in pounds. Li Tongfan carefully analyzed his values in the game, and found that the current values were no different from those in other ordinary football managers. For example, for the spirit attribute, basically all values for new players are fixed at 10. After that, as the game progresses, the values begin to fluctuate, based on the specific actions of the players in the game, and the maximum value is 20. But these are not the most important. What Li Tongfan is most concerned about now is whether he can cheat in the language column. Then he looked at the bottom of the screen and was delighted to find that at the bottom of all the information, there was a language option button, followed by 2 small red words, Chinese. This means that Li Tongfan now only masters Chinese. He clicked the button gently, and a black and white football-shaped reminder box popped up on the screen. Do you want to change the language binding? Yes, Li Tongfan confirmed with the mouse, and the screen jumped. Below the virtual avatar of the head coach, a rectangular drop-down box appeared, in which more than 20 common language options with the largest number of users in the world were entered. Li Tongfan thought for a while, and decided to choose Chinese, English and Spanish. After selecting, click the OK button, and a black and white football-shaped reminder box pops up on the screen. The system solemnly reminds you that the 3 free game experience opportunities have been used up. This operation will consume 3 points of character points. Do you confirm? What? Consume character points? What is character? What's going on? In the previous 05 and 06 versions of Football Manager, there was never any mention of character points. Lee Tongfan was stunned. It seems that the function of this game is far from as simple as he imagined. The sudden unexpected branch caused a sense of urgency and crisis to rise quickly in Leoli's heart, churning up and down. This feeling is like a geek who has finally found a pure, beautiful, and cute girlfriend after all the hard work. He finally tricked her into bed with all the sweet talk. After they had a beyond friendly relationship, he was devastated to find that after she pulled up her belt, she seriously asked you for the overpass fee. Fuck. Lee Tongfan was depressed and wanted to masturbate. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. And take a deep breath. Slowly calming down, Lee Tongfan felt that it was necessary to understand what character points were before making the final decision. Move the mouse to the fore. Words character points, and the small arrow of the mouse turns into a human hand shape. There is a chance, which means there is a next level menu behind the 4 words. Sure enough, after clicking the words character points, a very eye-catching blood red, dazzling red, and chilling skull-sickle text box popped up. Special note, after the system is bound to the player, a certain number of character points, up to 100 points, will be randomly given to the player according to the player's character. Character points are consumable resources used to maintain the normal operation of the game. Please note that, if the character points are consumed, you will be eliminated by the system. If you do not start the game for more than 30 consecutive game days, you will be eliminated by the system. You can get the corresponding character points by triggering the hidden tasks of the game. Fuck. After reading this passage, Lee Tongfan's eyes went dark, and he immediately thought of the first generation of ants on Gideon. Then after a time interval of 1/3 of a second, he immediately thought of the masterpiece Infinite Horror that created a major genre of online literature. Damn it, this FM 2007 system is simply a miniature version of the Lord God's space. All they talk about is annihilation. Annihilation. What's the difference between this and the cold Lord God in Infinite Horror? No, there is a difference. This FM 2007 game is more insidious. Before personal binding, there is no mention of character points and annihilation at all, and 3 free chances are given with malicious intentions. This is simply a bait for phishing. When you fall into the trap step by step, it will reveal its ferocious fangs. Damn it, I've been fooled. Lee Tongfan immediately fell from the clouds and regretted it. This is not playing games, it's just playing with your life. At most, it's only 100 character points. Note, while Mr. Lee Tongfan was crying and cursing, he was pleased that the system could give him the highest value of 100 character points, which shows that our old Lee's character is still very strong. How long can this last? If you are not careful, you will be happily wiped out by the insidious game system. It's over. It's over. Please. Regarding the game modifier mentioned by the comrades, Xiaodao has also thought about it for a long time and carefully considered the ideas that everyone has given to Xiaodao. However, there are more or less flaws in limiting the number of uses, limiting the number of modifiers, limiting the age of modifiers, and other good suggestions. The article will narrow the space for plot twists, so in the end, I decided to borrow the infinite flow method and set the game system to something similar to the main god space, introducing the term character points. In this way, by freely allocating and using game points, the pig feet will have more choices. Xiaodao trembles and thanks. I hope you are satisfied with this setting. I won't say that. If you are not satisfied, I can't do anything about it. If you have suggestions, you can change it. Regarding the 2 selected little monsters, there is a guessing post on the top, so you can use your imagination. Go shopping with my gentle, virtuous, smart, and capable girlfriend. I hope that after Xiaodao crawls back with his bags, sweaty and blistered, he will click on the collection data to make me ecstatic. Finally, let me say again, do you think that the nonsense at the end of each chapter is too annoying? If so, Xiaodao will change it. Chapter 11 Infinite Stream Football Modifier. Lee Tongfan really wants to black out and then wake up happily to find that he was actually just having a nightmare. Unfortunately, his deep subconscious mind told Leoli that even the trick of pretending to be dead would not work at this moment. So Lee Tongfan reached out and gave himself 2 big ear scrapers. After making sure that his energy was still normal, he began to carefully analyze the profound connotation of the passage in the red text box word by word. As a master who is afraid of death to save his life, Li Tongfan reached the following conclusion logically and clearly within 1/3 and a quarter of an hour. First of all, I have been bound to this insidious system. It is like being slapped on the butt by a super sticky dogskin plaster. The probability is 99.9%. Note, the remaining 100%, the probability of 0.1, purely Laoli's luck, is hopeless. No wonder after binding, his eyes suddenly turned blank. He foolishly thought it was because there were too many that Li Tongfan really wanted to imitate Zhao. The way Xingxing looks in 3 smiles of autumn fragrance, she shouts heartbreakingly, who dares to be worse than me? Secondly, the system has given me 3 free trial opportunities. Thinking about it, it should refer to the first 3 times of binding the game, modifying Emerson's contract, and just enabling the scouting tool. Unfortunately, all of them have been used by me without knowing it. After all the consumption, I really regretted it and wanted to jump off the building. After that, the running of the game requires character points. I now have a total of 100 character points, which can barely last for a while. However, it is currently impossible to determine the frequency of consumption of character points, so how long this period of time will be is still unknown. Once again, after all the character points are consumed, people will die. Li Tongfan felt sad again when he thought of this. The insidious system, uncles. The system regulations are very systematic science. After the character points are consumed, people will die. If you are afraid of consuming character points and have not played the game, then congratulations. 3 after 10 game days, you will also have to kick your legs to death. It is completely forcing our old Li to die. There is no way to go to heaven, and there is no way to enter the earth. Finally, Li Tongfan looked at the last sentence in the text box with a guilty expression on his face. Just like a drowning chicken that was about to drown and suddenly found out that he was actually a swimming duck, the sky and the earth. It turned out that I still have a chance to live. You can get corresponding character points by triggering the game's hidden characters. What does this mean? It means that Laoli is saved. Character points will be consumed, but they can also be obtained in certain ways. Is this the legendary accumulating character? Li Tongfan never thought that there would be a day when the RP issue that he often mentioned when chatting with his friends would be linked to his delicate life. Bill Shankly, the founder of the Liverpool dynasty and the greatest head coach in the history of the team, once said, "Football has nothing to do with life and death. Football is higher than life and death." At this moment, Li Tongfan deeply believed that if the old man stood next to him now, in front of him, Laoli must have hugged his thigh and cried bitterly. Well, since there is still a chance to survive, we have to plan carefully. According to the system prompts, character points can only be obtained by triggering the hidden tasks of the game, so it is necessary to continue the game to the end. Fortunately, the system was kind enough and gave me 100 points of startup capital, so everything had room for change. From now on, Li Tongfan will really fight for survival, barely calming down his mood, which was as fluctuating as a Bermuda Death Triangle. Li Tongfan gave it a try and found that each language modification required 1 character point, exactly 3 points for Chinese, English, and Spanish. Although Li Tongfan had already mastered Chinese proficiently before, the insidious system obviously took this into account. There was no way. Chinese must not be lost, and Spanish and English are both necessary communication tools to become a good coach. So Li Tongfan decided to spend 3 points of character first to master Spanish as soon as possible. So he made up his mind and clicked OK button, as the saying goes. If a worker wants to do his job well, he must first sharpen his tools. If you want to play the game well and earn more character points, you must first arm yourself, preferably to the teeth. Moreover, even if someone is really going to die or suffer a bloody blow, he doesn't care about these 3 points of character. Now he is riding a tiger and it's hard to get off, so he points first and then talk. Ding dong. There was another sweet prompt. The language binding has been changed. 3 character points have been consumed, and you still have 97 character points left. Then Li Tongfan felt like he was struck by lightning and ran to the bathroom crying like a ghost. Just like an adulterer who is caught in bed, he will be as embarrassed as he is. Moreover, the fart sounds rumble. It's just rubbish. Vomit. Ugh. In the bathroom, Lee Tongfan vomited until the sky became dark, the sun and the moon lost light, the earth shook, and 2012, after a while, Lee Tongfan crawled out of the bathroom with wet hair and a mouthful of chin. Damn it, sir. There is a price to pay for taking shortcuts. It almost cost us lives. This sentence was spoken bitterly by Lee Tongfan in authentic Spanish with the flavor of Madrid, because sure enough, this guy already knows Spanish. Complete mastery. Not inferior to the indigenous people in Madrid. Point damn it. It's so outrageous. It is indeed a super cheating device. After the language binding, Lee Tongfan actually felt as if he was born knowing Spanish. He speaks very fluently, without any sense of awkwardness. As for the wonderful performance just now in the bathroom, it has nothing to do with consuming character points. The real reason is, if your brain is like Lee Tongfan's, suddenly it is like the Yellow River flooding out of control, and like a torrent of river water pouring in a large amount of language information that you have never been exposed to before. You will also have a short circuit of brain nerves, nausea, and dizziness. I keep farting. After mastering the language, you have passed another level. After everything was done, Lee Tongfan, who was hungry, scared and excited, lay comfortably on the soft bed, thinking about how to lecture the superstars of the first team after the official meeting tomorrow. He was just as arrogant as Mourinho, pretending to be cool. Say something like besides God, I'm me, or be more low-key, and say a few nice compliments to boost morale such as you are all great guys. I think highly of you. Well, people make money as coaches, but they lose their lives as coaches. Life is so miserable. In the midst of endless resentment, Lee Tongfan, who had been tired for a day, was like an angry little wife, huddled on the velvet white soft bed that was spacious enough for 2 or 3 couples to work at the same time. Soon after, he accepted the invitation of Mr. Zalgong in a daze. A deafening snoring sound, Ps, regarding the restrictions on modifiers, except for how to obtain character points. It is completely over now. I don't know if I have expressed my meaning clearly with all the verbosity. In short, modifiers are still modifiers, and cheating is still very bad. Character points are actually not difficult to obtain. The main reason is to prevent the protagonist from using the modifiers without restrictions and disrupting the normal order of football. Point regarding the character of Pig's Knuckle, Xiao may be a little too obsessed with being funny, so much so that he goes too far compared to what some enthusiastic people say, and is a bit brain dead. I will slowly correct it. Finally, please ask for votes and favorites. Chapter 12, the first close contact with a superstar. Madrid Sports City, at 8:30 in the morning. The sun is rising, and the weather is cool. For the lazy Madrid citizens, this time is the perfect time to get up from the soft and comfortable quilt to enjoy a delicious breakfast, or to do it again with the lover, who is still reluctant to leave. But for the Real Madrid stars who have just returned from their vacation, they must drive to the training base of Madrid Sports City before 8:30 to start pre-season recovery training, to find the field status that they accidentally left in the Maldives or the Caribbean beach during the vacation, and to reserve sufficient physical strength for the long season that is about to begin. The team's assistant coach Greed was waiting at the gate of the training ground early, chatting with the groundskeeper while waiting for the stars to arrive. Good morning, Greed. You look good. The first to arrive at the training ground was the popular Beckham, with a kind smile on his handsome face, and greeted Greed from a distance. Good morning, David. New rules. You have to sign first. Greed held a well-made card in his hand, on which were neatly printed the portraits and names of many first-team players, arranged in order according to their positions on the court. Your new boss's rules. The new boss is naturally the mysterious Chinese head coach. To be honest, the first team players have never seen this unknown new coach so far, and they are all full of curiosity. Beckham took the card and pen, signed his name skillfully, and asked casually, "What is this for?" Greed shrugged, saying that he didn't know. "You have to ask it yourself, David, but I think Mr. Glutton will explain it to you." Mr. Glutton? A handsome black boy ran over from the parking lot. Hearing Greed's words, he lowered his voice and asked stealthily, "Is it the mysterious Chinese coach?" Before Greed could answer, another star arrived and waved his hand and slapped the boy hard. "Robbie, don't dawdle, we are going to be late." It was Roberto Carlos. As for the handsome black boy called Robbie, it was naturally Brazilian striker Robinho. Robinho grinned, signed his name, and ran into the training ground. At 8:30, all the players arrived. Greed took the small card signed by the players and knocked on the door to enter the head coach's office with Lee Tongfan's name printed on it. "Sir, all the players have expired. Here are the signed cards. Would you like to meet them?" Greed kindly reminded rookie Lee Tongfan. As the head coach of the team, it is really unreasonable that he has not greeted his players so far. After saying that, Greed suddenly wanted to reach out and slap himself twice. He suddenly remembered that the man in front of him did not speak Spanish, and there was no female translator Alex present at this time. I guess his kind reminder was a meat bun hitting a dog. However, what happened next made this usually steady man lose his composure rarely, because, wow, thank you, Greed. Lee Tongfan, who was writing something at his desk, took the card happily, put it carefully in the drawer of the desk, and then thanked him in authentic Spanish. This will be regarded as a sign-in procedure for the players in the future. They must sign before training every day. If anyone is late, Greed, you know what to do, right? Oh, yes, yes. According to the previous regulations, late players must undergo physical training. Sir. Poor comrade Greed was so shocked by Lee Tongfan's unparalleled language talent of learning Spanish overnight that he spoke incoherently. Lee Tongfan saw everything and was happy in his heart. He pretended to think about it and expressed satisfaction. "No problem, the rules don't need to be changed. If you are late, you still have to do extra physical training. I'll leave this to you. Say hello to the boys first. I'll be out soon." Such an arrangement fully demonstrates Lee Tongfan's usual behavior of a good person. Since the punishment for being late is an offensive thing, it's better to leave it to the assistant coach. As soon as Greed, who was surprised, stepped out of the office door, Lee Tongfan immediately took out the signed small card from the drawer and couldn't help blowing a kiss. "Yeah, I'm such a genius," someone boasted. "I thought of such a wonderful idea, haha. If I sign once a day, even if I get laid off and go home after a year, I can at least collect more than 300 cards signed by superstars. If I sell them on Teo, I can definitely make a small fortune, haha." It turns out that this bastard has such a wishful thinking. If assistant coach Greed and the stars who are kept in the dark know that their head coach is just this kind of talent, they will immediately be speechless and fall on their backs. The superstars of Real Madrid lined up neatly, waiting for their new coach, the mysterious Mr. Good for Nothing. Among the 27 players in the first team, Van Nistelrooy, Cannavaro, Gago, Higuain and others all joined Real Madrid this season. Capello, who was optimistic about them, suddenly broke up with Real Madrid, and the new coach Lee Tongfan did not make a clear statement. Several people are still a little worried about their future in the team, especially Gago and Higuain. Compared with other teammates, they are only slightly famous in Argentina. Outside of Argentina, few people know them. If the new head coach does not like to use young players, then their future will be very bad. Once you enter a big club, it is like a deep sea. Countless living examples have fallen in front of you one after another, such as their Argentine predecessor Mr. Little Rabbit Saviola, who is still squatting on the cold bench of Camp Nou with a class struggle on his face, ready to sit on the bench. You know, Saviola, the former South American Footballer of the Year, was much more famous than the two of them before he transferred to Barcelona. As for other veteran players, such as Raul, Salgado, Guti and others, although they are not afraid of losing their positions, who doesn't want to play football peacefully under a coach who appreciates them? If they can be appreciated by the new coach, it would be the best thing. No one is born to be a ball tyrant, especially someone like Raul who has dedicated his entire career to Real Madrid. Amid the high expectations of the superstars, Lee Tongfan finally arrived, wearing a pair of exaggerated sunglasses that covered 3/5 of his face. Lee Tongfan began his first speech as the head coach to everyone's astonishment. "Good morning, boys." This was Lee Tongfan's opening remarks. Someone below whispered, "You are younger than us, Lee Tongfan happened to hear this sentence. Through the black lenses, he quickly glanced at the bad boy Kasano. I will deal with this young man later. Li Tongfan continued his inaugural speech. Everyone is asking, who is this guy who suddenly jumped out from the other side of the earth? Li Tongfan pointed to his face. Everyone is asking, but for you, this is not a problem at all, because you only need to know that I'm the head coach of this team. Whether you like it or not, in the next season, you must bravely win the game under my command. Win one game after another, just like you did before. The huge black lenses perfectly concealed Li Tongfan's somewhat guilty look under his domineering momentum. In the eyes of Real Madrid superstars, the man standing in front of them was a man with high spirits and no fear regarding the outbreak. Xiaodao plans to save some manuscripts for the next week, so basically there will be no outbreak this week. 2 updates a day, and the total is less than 5,000 words. I'm a newcomer. This sentence has been said by many people, and I sincerely ask everyone to understand Xiaodao's difficulties. It will definitely explode next week. I'm also embarrassed to ask for votes. Please understand. Chapter 13. I like this feeling. As a member of a team with a glorious championship tradition, I hope you will forget this stupid question starting today. If anyone is still wasting their energy in this regard, I don't mind asking him alone to make self-examination. Introduce Li. Tongfan's voice was so sinister that Real Madrid superstars were a little frightened. For the time being, it seems that this new coach is a ruthless character like Magic Bird. After the stick came the carrot. Li Tongfan secretly rated his performance 10 points in his mind, while trying to squeeze out a smile on his sullen face to reflect his good intentions. Of course, it's a pleasure to cooperate. Boys, I want to fight main force. Please impress me with your actual actions. If anyone still has questions, you can come to me alone after training. Dismiss now and start training. Li Tongfan ended his first training session in his coaching career very briefly. Although he felt that his performance was overbearing at the moment, many years later, when he became famous, he recalled that this training session was simply a stinking mess. Shit, it's all because of inexperience. Real Madrid stars were training under the command of assistant coach Greed. As the head coach, Li Tongfan did not participate. He just stood on the sidelines wearing sunglasses and watched the situation on the court motionlessly. Although Li Tongfan did not give any specific guidance and demonstration, in fact, this guy didn't know anything at all, but the stars in training felt that there was always a pair of cold eyes looking at them under the black lenses, especially the newly joined players. Several players work harder in training wearing a black formal suit, black leather shoes, black sunglasses, well, coupled with the black hair that Chinese people are accustomed to. Li Tongfan stood stunned on the sidelines, just like a black statue. But if you observe carefully, you can see that the corners of Li Tongfan's mouth can't help but twitch, as if he is trying his best not to laugh. In fact, this guy's already overjoyed. Thankfully, I have watched Lin hating Teo's The Godfather of Champions. Tony Twain's trick of wearing sunglasses to pretend to be cool is really useful. Haha, it's unbelievable. What did I just do? A world-class star was scolded by me like a good baby. After a while, wow, this feels so good. This is what a man feels. I like this feeling. Li Tongfan said to himself silently. I divide. I'm the dividing line. Croatia is located on the southeastern edge of Europe, northwest of the Balkan Peninsula, and on the east coast of the Adriatic Sea. With a land area of 56,538 square kilometers, Croatia is a very influential country in Central Europe. In Zagreb, the capital of Croatia, there is a traditional European football team that has won 1 UEFA Cup championship and 1 runner-up. It has also won 9 league championships, 8 cup championships and 7 super cups in the Croatian domestic league. The champion is a wonder in Croatian football. The world-renowned great football players Davisukas Zvonimir Boban, Prosinecki, Balaban, Srna and others all came from this football club. It is Dinamo Zagreb. Time has entered July, and the domestic league of the 2006-07 season is about to begin. Dinamo Club is playing its last pre-season warm-up match. The team's home stadium, Maximi Stadium, which can accommodate 38,932 people, is packed with people. Oh Kill these split cards and let them go home to feed themselves. Come on. Go on. Go on. Luka. Go on. You are the best. We got a big man. Big man. Let that nigger eat shit. In the stands, the radical Dynamo fans were like young stallions in their prime, with red paint on their faces, waving their scarves, hats, jackets, and underwear in their hands. While our own players cheered, they frantically challenged the opposing players. The loud boos were like the roar of the rising tide in the Mediterranean, deafening. Such a fiery scene. If you didn't know the situation, you would think you were watching the European Champions Cup final. But looking at the opponent's Dinamo Zagreb faces, everything can be explained, because the visiting team is Dinamo's #1 rival in Croatia. Hajduk. This warm-up match is like a Croatian national derby on the court. The Dynamo team, wearing their home red and white plaid jerseys, firmly controlled the initiative under the crazy cheers of the fans. Among them, the thin young man wearing the number 10 jersey is the core of the home team. His sharp dribbling and deft passing are creating this fierce murderous intention all the time. Whenever this young man with long blonde hair advances the ball, there will be waves of cheers in the stands. The football at his feet is like a good baby that clings to its mother for milk and cannot be driven away. Under the management of the young number 10, Dynamo's midfield is like a precision-operated machine, orderly and sharp. At the 76th minute of the game, the young number 10 deceived the black midfielder Hajduk, who rushed over to steal the ball with a fake move. Without pausing, he tipped his toes and the football drew a beautiful parabola in the air. Unbiased, it fell to the feet of the Dynamo striker, who ran out of space. The striker raised his foot and the football hit the net. This is already Dynamo's 4th goal. The score is 4-0, with the home team in front. On the giant electronic reality card, a dazzling red name appeared 4 times. 23 minutes, assist, Luka Modric. 44 minutes, assist, Luka Modric. 51 minutes, assist, Luka Modric. 76th minute, assist, Luka Modric. Boom. Maximi. Stadium erupted into huge cheers. After the goal, the enthusiastic fans in the stands went crazy. 4 goals defeated their rivals in the league, which would give them something to show off to their relatives, friends, and lovers in the next week or even a month. After losing the ball, Hajduk pressed on the entire court and launched a counter-attack. Although it is just a warm-up match, this is a real battle between two enemies in the domestic league. If they cannot get back even 1 point in the remaining 10 minutes, then they will return to split. Hajduk's fanatical fans will definitely beat them, from the coach to the players, into pigheads. This is definitely not a joke. After the Hajduk team unexpectedly lost to a weak team at home last season, a group of crazy fans actually did this. Unfortunately, Hajduk's desperate counter-attack was crushed by the ruthless Dynamo defenders, especially the number 4 big man wearing a Dynamo uniform. He was quick with his feet, timely in position, and accurate in his predictions. The rocks in the stormy waves firmly defended their position. After the game, Dynamo players lined up in a long line to bow to the enthusiastic fans. However, the poor Hajduk players, led by the frustrated head coach, packed their bags in dejection and sat on the seats with a tragic mentality of looking forward to death. Got the bus back to Split. Hey, Luka, veteran, the boss wants you two to go to his office. After dressing, Dynamo number 10 Luka Modric and number 4 veteran Joel Luka, who were about to drive home, thanked their teammates after hearing the greetings. They had just won the game and were in a good mood. Went to head coach Blanko Ivankovic's office while joking, Luka, veteran, this is Mr. Majatovic, the general manager of Real Madrid. Blanko Ivankovic reluctantly introduced the middle-aged man sitting next to Dynamo Club chairman Brizic to the two, looking up and down with a bit of arrogance in his eyes. Real Madrid? The hearts of Modric and Jair Luka beat hard at the same time. Guys, it will definitely explode next week. Save your manuscripts this week. By the way, please give me some favorites and recommendations. Exclamation mark. Ashamed. I recommend a book. It is also written by a newcomer. The subject matter is good. I have already signed a contract. It is better than Xiodeo. Xiodeo is a newcomer and knows the hardships of newcomers. Chapter 14. Various dissatisfactions with autocracy. On July 8, 2006, the Spanish Real Madrid club officially announced that it had introduced the team's star of hope Luka Modric from Dinamo Zagreb, Croatia, for a price of £8.8 million. Veteran core Luka. Veteran FM series game fans all know that in FM 2007, Luka Modric, veteran Chaluka and Eduardo were called the Dynamo 3 monsters. Among them, Modric has just turned 20 years old and can play any position on the left, center, or right of the front court. He has a strong view of the overall situation, accurate passing, and rich imagination. He is a rare midfielder in FM 07. Joel Luka is also only 20 years old, 1.93 meters tall, good at right and center back positions, strong body, quick, accurate and ruthless, and excellent header. He is second only to Terry, Vidic, Ferdinand and others in the game. Aerial dominance. As for Eduardo at the forward position, he is affectionately called the Fox in the penalty area by the fans due to his excellent grabbing points, coquettish running and calm handling of the ball. He belongs to the Inzaghi second type of figure. The reason why Tongfan chose Modric and Joel Luka is not only that Real Madrid's current lineup really needs players in these two positions, but also the main reason is the bad taste of these guys determined to be a shotgun similar to Arsenal Wenger. As for Eduardo, the spirit fox in the penalty area, my god, Real Madrid striker is too luxurious. It would be a sin to buy him. He is still young and will be useless if he cannot be the main force. He needs to be trained in games, so let him go for the time being. Although Modric and Joel Luka are notoriously famous, they are extremely cheap. What's more important is that children are easy to fool. If you ask them to play as a substitute, they won't behave like those superstars. If there is any head coach who has no love for such players, then he must be a cross and stupid. The only pity is that the two little guys have not proven themselves in the top European leagues. But, is this a problem for Lee Tongbum, who has super modifiers and invincible scouting tools? This, to a certain extent, is really a bit problematic. Stupid decisions by stupid clubs, idiot signings by idiot managers. When you see this title, you will understand what is going on. Yes, after Lee Tongfan enthusiastically attended the press conference with the newly joined Croatian young lady, media from all walks of life who were originally not optimistic about Lee Tongfan began a new round of anti-Lee frenzy. Especially Spain's World Sports and Daily Sports, like to Labrador yellow-haired dogs in the late stage of rabies, grinning and taunting Lee Tongfan at every opportunity. The above mentioned news is seriously insulting. The title is another forward-looking prediction made by Flaws, editor-in-chief of World Sports News, in his column, "I feel sad that La Liga is about to lose its competitiveness and enjoyment." As an iconic team of the league, Real Madrid is treating the league with a negative attitude that is rare in history. If their previous decision to introduce Chinese losers is if it temporarily alleviates the embarrassment of being unable to hire a world-class coach, it is said that Capello and Hiddink have publicly stated that they have no interest in coaching Real Madrid, then Calderon is undoubtedly digging his own grave by conniving at the fast signings. Madrid fans, do you really want that lawyer-turned-goal-blind and useless Chinese head coach to lead the team into an abyss of no return? After Mr. Flaws reduced Real Madrid to nothing, he did not forget to fan the flames and sow discord between the fans and the club at the end. His intentions were really evil. In addition to pro-Barcelona World Sports and Daily Sports, even some other neutral football media are not optimistic about Lee Tongbum's signing. In their view, although Modric and Joel Luka are well known in Europe, for a giant like Real Madrid, they can only be regarded as tasteless and useless waste. Among all the media, only three are struggling to praise Calderon and protect the loser, and that is Aspen, Marca and Soho. International Football it is a pity that As and Marca have always appeared in front of the public as Real Madrid's queen of scholars. Although Soho International Sports has the word international in its name, its international influence is really unbearable. So these already weak voices of praise quickly disappeared amid the wave of ridicule that was like a collision between heaven and earth. Therefore, under the constant provocation of many media, some blind and radical Real Madrid fans are ready to launch military remonstrance in an organized and premeditated way. It is said that the glass windows of Calderon and Majatovic's mansion have been greeted with bricks. stones, and wooden sticks by many fanatical fans. The Spanish fans' bad taste makes Lee Tongfan ashamed, so much so that a nearby family the glass sales company's turnover has increased by 250% in the past half month. Sir, this street boy named Flaws, do you and I have a grudge against you for taking away your wife and killing your son? If you dare to catch lice on the tiger's butt, it seems that I don't show off my power. Everyone thinks that I'm Hello Kitty. Well, let me let you know how many eyes Lord Mer has. It seems that sometimes ignorance is really a good thing. After mastering Spanish, Lee Tongfan was finally able to understand the outside world's evaluation of him in time. The repeated provocations from the editor-in-chief of World Sport's classmate named Flaws made the tender coaching rookie Lee Tongfan feel that he had to do something. After taking charge of a team, Lee Tongfan is no longer fighting alone. Lee Tongfan's reputation is the face of the team. If someone arrogantly slaps 250 Rauji ammo on your plump little face, but you swallow your anger and say nothing, what is the difference between this and being a double-faced person? More than 20 people in the team are watching Lee Tongfan. If the head coach can't even deal with these small waves, how can he lead the team to win one victory after another? Do you think victory is your mother and can follow you everywhere? Men have to be a little ruthless to others, especially those others who are hurting others and not benefiting themselves and are just bored. So Lee Tongfan decided to launch a counter-attack. With the help of the club management, he decided to open a column in Marca, named specialized in treating all kinds of dissatisfaction. These 6 words were printed in Chinese characters. To the Spanish, it seemed like a mysterious oriental spell. Isn't it awesome? Lee Tongfan was very satisfied with the name of the column that he came up with on a whim. Of course, the editor-in-chief of Marca, Raul Nunes, was even more satisfied. You should know that this Real Madrid coach, who has been defined as an idiot by his peers in the media industry, is now a household name. In quotation marks indicated derogatory meaning. No matter what this idiot says, it will arouse great interest among fans. Just wait for the newspaper to be sold out. So Nunes was so happy that he took out the Chivas 20 that he had carefully kept for more than 20 years and drank with his subordinates. When the excitement passed, looking at the empty bottle without a drop left, the old drunkard regretted it so much that he wanted to chew his tongue and commit suicide. Peas, boss. Higuain read Football Modifier yesterday, but didn't collect or recommend it. Gago reported to Lee Tongfan furtively, what the hell, he dared to do this? I will modify him to be disabled later. Lee Tongfan was furious. Xiaodao is now a sperm dispersing boy, and his sperm is so dispersing that his kidneys are weak. The essence is almost gone. If it is not given, I will make it up next week. Also, guess how many people are in the book club of Football Modifier? I cried. I wanted to wait for everyone to fall into the trap, but come quickly. 6,159,252! Exclamation mark. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 15 From Madrid to BJ Scheinenman. The first article published by Lee Tongfan in the column Dissatisfaction with Dictatorship was very short. The general meaning of the title was Who dares to grin at labor and management? Labor and management will make him cry and regret as the head coach of the team appointed by the great board of directors of Real Madrid after careful selection and careful decision making. I only represent myself to express my strongest protest against the recent evaluation of myself by my friends in the media. Although I cannot determine whether Mr. Flaws of World Sports is suffering from early menopause due to excessive work pressure, which is why he keeps making ridiculous predictions, but as a famous football commentator, don't you know that before the game starts, everything is it possible? Oops, I'm sorry, please forgive my incoherence. If you are willing, I hope to make a bet with you. If Real Madrid cannot defeat the Barcelona team that you call the greatest this season, I'm willing to kneel down from Santiago Bernabeu to Camp Nou. Do you dare? Do You dare? Leoli said harsh words. In fact, what Leoli most wants to say to the editor-in-chief of World Sports is, don't pretend to be cool, otherwise you will be struck by lightning. Don't pretend to be innocent, or you will be criticized. However, given that the lethality of this motto for living in the world, which is full of the wisdom and hard work of the vast number of Chinese netizens, is too shocking. If it is said out, it will definitely make Spanish officials who cannot accept fresh remarks furious. As for the tragic ending of being suspended before the game started and dying before the start of the game, Leoli thought twice and decided to forget it. But don't think that Li Tongfan was really mad at the other party's remarks. Please carefully check this guy's prerequisites. If Real Madrid cannot defeat Barcelona after the end of the season, what is victory? Li Tongfan's subtext is, as long as Real Madrid can defeat Barcelona once during the season, then I will not climb. The labor and management have a cheating device in their hands, so they don't believe that they can't win even once. At worst, they will consume a few more character points, cunningly and greatly. But how did the media know that Li Tongfan was so shameless? Everyone's first impression was that this fragile young man could not withstand the pressure and went crazy, so the overwhelming ridicule became even worse. The reason is to add fuel to the fire and never give help when it is needed. This is the consistent fucking style of the football media. So, poor Flores was fooled. The day after Li Tongfan's column appeared in the newspaper, Comrade Flores did not hesitate to bite the sweet bait spilled by Leoli. If you dare to climb from the Bernabeu to Camp Nou, I dare to climb from Madrid to BJ Scheinenman. This is the heroic answer of Flores, the editor-in-chief of World Sports. Oh my god, I can't drown you. If you have the ability, just crawl across the Pacific Ocean. Compete with labor and management. Do you know that the scouting tool shows that Modric has a potential of 189 in FM 2007? Do you know Joel Lucas' nickname in the game industry? Are you called the #1 cheap central defender? Do you know that the labor management has FM millimeters? Do you know that the scouting tools of the labor management are better than Sun Monkey's sharp eyes? You know, forget it, you don't understand it anyway. Just wait until you become a cripple. Seeing that the purpose of his bad joke had been achieved, Li Tongfan smiled and cursed a few secretly, then ignored the reaction of the press and focused on the team's training, still wearing black clothes and black pants, super big sunglasses resting on the bridge of his fairly straight nose all day long, watching assistant coach Grad train the superstars in strict accordance with the so-called tactics he compiled from FM 2007. Li Tongfan. There is a sense of oriental invincibility, sunflower in hand, I own the country, a heroic feeling. Currently, among the 24 members of the first team, as many as 9 are new players who have joined this season. Therefore, we have not seen any short-sighted young people jumping out to challenge the authority of head coach Li Tongfan. The tactics in the game were completely reproduced on the training ground of Madrid Sports City, and all the players were working hard to sweat under the hot sun. To be honest, when Li Tongfan first came up with this tactical arrangement, assistant coach Grad still expressed his worries very tactfully, because this tactic was too focused on offense, and there was only one defensive player in the midfield. The defensive midfielder, other attacking midfielders, wingers, and forwards all devote themselves to the attack. If they are counter-attacked by the opponent, they will die miserably. Don't worry, Grad. We have many talented players. A flash of light is enough to defeat the opponent. Whoever dares to play intensive defense with me, I will press on him and kill him. After listening to Li Tongfan's explanation and thinking about the miracle of this guy learning Spanish overnight, poor Grad was already a little convinced. Alright. Grad comforted himself in his heart. Maybe this guy from the mysterious ancient eastern country can really create miracles. Such tactics are not without merit. Therefore, after using his absolutely professional knowledge to help Li Tongfan make minor repairs to this absolutely unprofessional offensive formation, Grad agreed with the tactical arrangement of rookie Li Tongfan. 3 days later, the pre-season warm-up match officially began, and the first opponent was La Liga's Osasuna. This is a La Liga team belonging to Pamplona, Navarra province, Spain. It was founded on November 17, 1920 and has a history of 86 years. In last season's La Liga, Osasuna became the biggest dark horse. They finished 4th in the league and qualified for the UEFA Champions League knockout rounds. This team is influenced by the Matador plot of the city of Pamplona, where the famous Spanish running of the Bulls Festival is held. It is famous for its tough playing style and has strong characteristics of the northern team. It is the only member-based team in La Liga. One of 4 teams. The name Osasuna was coined by Benjamin and Jose Martinez and means health, strength in Basque Point. The game was played at the Santiago Bernabeu Stadium, home of Real Madrid. Since the issue of Real Madrid's head coach and signings has been aroused in the press recently, as many as 50,000 Real Madrid fans came to watch the game. Everyone wanted to let's see what this new head coach who talks arrogantly will achieve. This game will be broadcast on a small scale by Madrid City Television. P.S. I apologize to everyone who has been following this book. The plot is too bland. Today I was seeking scriptures from a great man of God, but I didn't notice that the time passed. I'm working hard to bring the plot to a climax. Please bear with me for a day or two, and I will definitely give you a climax. Thank you for your support. Thank you. Also, in book group 6,159,252, Xiaodao begged for help with tears in his eyes. After entering, he was not allowed to say the first thing he said. Damn, there are only so many people. Not even the sweat wiping guy. Chapter 16. This is a legendary road. At 19 PM Spanish time, the game officially started. The referee Rodriguez blew the whistle and the visiting team Osasuna kicked off first. The starting lineup sent by Tongfan in this game was goalkeeper Casillas, and the defenders from left to right were Roberto Carlos, Joel Luca, Cannavaro, Ramos, midfielder Mohamed Diarra, 2 wings Beckham, Robinho, front midfielder Guti, and forwards Roland van Nistelrooy. The unlucky Ronaldo was out for a month due to a patella fracture and is receiving expert treatment. Because it was a warm-up match, Tongfan did not use the FM 2007 game simulation save in advance. On the one hand, to avoid consuming character points, on the other hand, it was in an extremely bad taste idea. Didn't everyone say that I can't lead the team well? Let's deliberately lose a few warm-up matches to make you jump more happily. When the league officially starts, I will slap you hard and let all the doubters pick up and swallow their words word by word. Therefore, although the tactics were strictly arranged according to Tongfan's 4-1-2-1-2 formation, the starting list was made by assistant coach Greed. According to him, it was determined according to the recent training status. From the beginning of the game, Real Madrid played very actively. Except for the 2 central defenders, everyone else pressed into the opponent's half. In the first 20 minutes, even Roberto Carlos and Ramos, the 2 fullbacks, were offside once. Because Tongfan gave the players a high degree of tactical freedom in normal training, the Real Madrid superstars played a series of dazzling cooperation. Except for the final kick, the others were perfect. Some people say that Real Madrid fans are the ones who understand football the most, and some people say that Real Madrid fans are the ones who don't understand football the most. This sentence is vividly reflected at this moment. The huge advantage on the scene has never been converted into goals, which makes the Real Madrid fans who understand football begin to be dissatisfied. The south stand of the stadium, which gathers the most hardcore and radical fans, began to hear fragmentary boos. Tongfan, wearing a black windbreaker, he admitted that he was blindly imitating the magic bird, stood beside the coaching bench, staring at the court, unmoved. To some extent, he had no pressure at all. It was just a warm-up match, no need to play for real. At the end of the first half, Real Madrid had an astonishing 80% possession ratio, but did not score a goal. Amid the increasingly loud boos from the fans and the proud and contemptuous smile of Osasuna coach Jose Chaganda, Tongfan was the first to walk back to the locker room. 15 minutes later, Tongfan did not make any substitutions. Real Madrid still held high the banner of attack, which was even more than in the first half. Even the central defenders Caraballo and Joel Luca would occasionally go in to harass the opponent's defense. Osasuna strictly implemented the tactical arrangement of head coach Jose Chaganda and launched a dense defense like an iron wall. The midfielders did not hesitate to commit fouls and frantically steal the ball. As soon as they got the ball, they immediately made a long pass to the powerful striker Milicevic, who was at the front point. Unfortunately, although Chiganda's tactics were very clear, the Real Madrid players today seemed to be taking drugs and Viagra collectively. The front court runs were cool and erratic, and the more they played, the more excited they became. Although Osasuna players kept making tackles, they still rarely got the ball point amid the increasingly loud boos from Real Madrid fans. Lee Tongbum's first goal, after coaching, finally came late point in the 57th minute of the second half. Ramos sent a sideline ball to Real Madrid. Beckham received the ball and made a long pass from the right side of the court. The ball landed accurately at the feet of Roberto Carlos on the right side. Carlos faked and shook off Osasuna right back Iquildo, who came to press. He made a low pass with his right foot. Raul, the captain of Real Madrid, half leaned against the opponent's central defender Flano and lifted the ball lightly. The ball jumped behind him like an obedient baby. Raul turned and shot. The opponent's goalkeeper couldn't block it in time. The ball bounced into the lower left corner of the goal. Carlos stopped the ball very well, passed the ball to the penalty area with a low pass. Raul, beautiful pass. Raul turned and shot. Goal. The ball went in. Real Madrid took the lead. It was Madrid's hero Raul who opened the door to victory for the team. The Bernabeu Stadium erupted in cheers like a tsunami. The team took the lead, and the goal was scored by Raul, the flagship of Real Madrid. This is the scene that all fans like to see the most. After scoring, Raul habitually kissed the ring, and his teammates gathered around to celebrate. The camera deliberately focused on Lee Tongfan standing on the sidelines, and was surprised to find that the young coach, who was under huge pressure, did not express anything, and did not even show a trace of happiness. It seems that our Mr. Glutton has been so happy that he has gone crazy. Come to think of it, under such great pressure, even if it is replaced by the iron coach Capello, he will suffer from depression. The commentator on the scene took the initiative to analyze Lee Tongfan's unexpected behavior and expressed sympathy for him. In fact, the commentator was not wrong. At this moment, Lee Tongfan was completely in an inexplicable shock, but not because of the goal, but because of the fanatical scene like a volcanic eruption on the scene. This is football. This is real professional football. Lee Tongfan stood on the sidelines with his arms raised high, closed his eyes, and silently said to himself over and over again in his heart, "This is life, the life I want." Who has not been young and frivolous? Who has not hoped to be outstanding? Who does not want to be the most special one among the billions of living beings on this planet? After repeatedly hitting a wall at work, the farmer parents who wanted their son to succeed were still dragging their aging bodies under the scorching sun and on the hot black soil to shed their sweat and their lives. But Lee Tongfan, who was laid off at home, could not help at all. The pressure of life made Lee Tongfan bury his childhood dream deep in his heart. He tossed and turned in sleep for many nights. Was he going to be a humble and obedient clerk for the rest of his life? Muddled through. What about the house? What about the car? What about the ideal? Yes, I'm still young and have plenty of time to wait, but what about my aging parents? Can they wait for 4 years after another before they can get their son's return? If the situation occurs that the son wants to support his parents, but they are no longer there, it will be a disaster. I dare not imagine it, but now, the opportunity has come. The opportunity that countless people dream of has fortunately favored me. If I miss it again, I will regret it for the rest of my life. It seemed as if a door suddenly opened up in front of him. If Lee Tongfan was still shrinking and at a loss because of this sudden and huge change, then from this moment on, Lee Tongfan's thoughts were slowly changing. Yes, looking at the crazy shouts of the fans in the stands, listening to the tide of applause coming from his ears, the crackling flashes like asterisk, and the white light shining on people's eyes, Lee Tongfan felt in a trance that he had stood at the center of the world. Everything was based on me. Everything was up to me. I have just started. This will be a brand new road. The road to legend. At this time, the fans on the scene suddenly burst into an uproar when the game was temporarily suspended after an out-of-bounds ball. The players of the Real Madrid team actually walked slowly off the court one by one. What's going on? Strike. The camera was pointed at the bench of Real Madrid on the sidelines. and people were surprised to find that the players sitting on the bench had already dressed neatly and were eager to try. It turned out that after the team took the lead, Tongfan replaced all the players on the field except Casillas and Van Nistelrooy in one go. Higuain, Gago, Marcelo and others who had just joined the team finally had the opportunity to play. At this time, the game was just in the 60th minute. Real Madrid's substitution lasted for 5 minutes before it ended, and Osasuna's players stood there waiting for 5 minutes. This substitution is really, well, it is different. The commentary of the Madrid sports channel wanted to say something, but suddenly realized that such a substitution was completely feasible in terms of the rules. After hesitating for a long time, he threw out a sentence different after that. The game continued. The new players obviously wanted to leave a good impression on the new boss, and they fought more fiercely than Osasuna. In the 71st minute, Real made a cross after a breakthrough, but the ball was headed out of the penalty area by an Osasuna defender. The young player Gago, who was lying in wait outside the penalty area, immediately controlled the ball and made a clever through pass. Van Nistelrooy, who was still in the penalty area, understood what he meant and pushed the ball gently. The ball passed under the armpit of Osasuna goalkeeper Joan Elia and went into the goal. He is worthy of being the king of the small penalty area. Goal. Van Nistelrooy scored the second goal of Real Madrid in this game, and also his first goal after joining the team. The cheers of the fans rang out again. Real Madrid secured the victory. After the game, a Real Madrid player who did not want to be named, the media always writes this way, revealed in an interview that head coach Tongfan said in the midfield locker room, "Play freely, don't care about the results. Today we are just playing." It is said that after Osasuna head coach Jose Chaganda read the newspaper the next day, he trained his players hard for a whole week with a gloomy face. P.S. There is a problem with the rhythm of this book. Yesterday, a great god came to give me some personal guidance. Theory combined with practice, Xiodeo suddenly realized. Now I'm revising the few manuscripts in stock and making a few changes in the outline. I may be a little stubborn. Point in addition, the signing contract has been basically completed. Welcome everyone to join the Book Friends group. 6,159,252. The number of people is still a little small. To be honest, I talked with the Book Friends several times and helped Xiodeo find a lot of mistakes. Thank you. Chapter 17. Reuben, the reporter who likes contradictions. Real Madrid's first victory under Tongfan was met with mixed reviews. Those who appreciate it believe that the latest 4-1-2-1-2 formation created by Tongfan for the team is suitable for the club's requirements of beautiful football and offensive football, and judging from the game scene, Real Madrid's ball possession ratio is as high as 80%. 21 of 36 shots were on target and scored 2 goals. The offense was smooth and flowing. The coordination was dazzling. The newly joined players also integrated well into the tactical system. This is a good sign. Although a warm-up match is not enough to explain the problem, winning is better than losing, right? But the anti-Lee faction headed by Flaws is not going to let this bad luck Chinese go easily. With such a luxurious lineup of Real Madrid, they only beat a weak team like Osasuna by 2 goals. This basically shows that Lee is a complete mediocrity. Look at the 2 players he has introduced. An unknown Croatian player who did nothing in the game, sir, who dares to pat their chest and guarantee that they can score more than 2 goals in every game. If Osasuna, which ranked 4th in the league last season, is weak, then Sevilla, which is ranked behind it. What is Villarreal? Is it a shark fin? Is it a bird's nest? Clown, idiot. Flaws, you should do more morning exercises to prepare for climbing from Madrid to Shineman. The above paragraph of Tongfan's original words without regard for his demeanor was carefully adapted by Carlos Robin, the hereditary reporter of Marca, and appeared on the front page of the next day's newspaper with a gentle face. No team in the world can always win by more than 2 goals. I think Mr. Flaws lacks enough respect for Osasuna. Real Madrid is a great team with the best team in the world. Excellent player, Mr. Flaws should think more about the bet he made earlier. Insidious. This was Lee Tongfan's first feeling after reading the newspaper the next day. Unexpectedly, Marker, a seemingly harmless intern reporter, was so much more capable of stirring up trouble than he was. In just a few words, he transformed the general distrust of the football world towards him into a collective protest by Osasuna and Real Madrid players. The contradictions that flaws despise. Could this guy have studied the On Contradictions, written by the great leader ******. You can imagine what kind of expression flaws will have after reading this report. I hope the editor-in-chief will not get so angry that his mouth will be full of tears. As for the young reporter Carlos Ruben of Marca, thanks to the underground godfather Nunes, Lee Tongfan, this fat piece of fat, was divided into the saliva of more than 100 journalists in Marca. Relying on this exclusive report on Lee Tongfan, Ruben has gradually become famous in the football reporter industry in recent times. It is said that many newspapers are preparing to pay high salaries to poach people. Opportunities only favor those who are prepared, and Carlos Ruben was lucky enough to hug Lee Tongfan's thigh because Ruben came in and worked hard and spared no effort to publish an article in Marca to support Leoli. Leoli has now slowly remembered and accepted this young reporter. From then on, he only accepted Ruben in the Spanish media interview. If someone respects me 1 foot, I will respect him 1 foot. If someone bites me once, I will stab him 10 times. This is the principle that Lee Tongfan always follows. So, since I have the ability now, why not help this little reporter who is very good at things? La Liga only officially starts on August 27th. Real Madrid still has 3 warm-up matches before the start of the league. Their opponents are Inter Milan, Fiorentina and Manchester United. It seems impossible to meet such an opponent in a warm-up match, right? In fact, Lee Tongfan used FM 2007 to arrange it in the game, and then asked the club management to be responsible for contacting him. Sure enough, in reality, the above 3 clubs all rushed to express their willingness to come to the Bernabeu Stadium for a warm-up match with Real Madrid. Since arranging a friendly match is not considered cheating in the game, no additional character points will be consumed this time. Calderon and Mijatovic, who originally had a wait-and-see attitude towards inviting the above 3 wealthy clubs, immediately organized manpower to carry out large-scale publicity after learning that the 3 wealthy clubs unexpectedly agreed to participate in the warm-up match. For fans, it is an unparalleled thing to enjoy such a rich visual feast before the start of the league. For Calderon and Mijatovic, these 3 games are another way to earn fame and money. Opportunity commercial profits are a big piece of cake that any Real Madrid president cannot give up. All the credit goes to these 2 scheming guys who picked the peaches without hesitation. Lee Tongfan has no objection to this. There are some peaches you can pick, but there are some peaches you can't pick, even if you practice Chinese magical skills such as monkey escape to the full level. Love as much as you like, because for Lee Tongfan, before the official start of the league, fully mastering the rules of FM 2007 is the top priority, especially the frequency of consumption of character points and the method of obtaining them. If you cannot fully master this game, let alone continue to be a coach, you may even risk your own life. Lee Tongfan didn't want to have his braids so high that no one has ever done before, and the kindness of his parents in raising him has not been repaid. Moreover, our old Lee is still a virgin until now. How can he be worthy of the beautiful girls around the world who are waiting for him if he dies so hastily before the warm-up match against Inter Milan? Lee Tongfan finally deepened his understanding of the FM 2007 system through repeated observation and speculation during this period, and came to the following conclusions. First of all, this game will automatically run as time passes in reality, and the game time will always be at least 1 day ahead of the real time. In other words, if you don't turn on the computer to play games, the system will play by itself, and you will play happily. What is even more shameless is that Lee Tongfan is entirely responsible for the results of the system. According to Lee Tongfan's analysis, the reason why the system always keeps the game time ahead of the real time is that only when things in the game happen before reality can it be possible to modify reality in advance. Secondly, whether you are actively playing the game or the system is playing itself, every time the game time advances by 1 week, 2 character points will be consumed. In addition, as long as you do not use the game system to save abnormally or use FM data modifier, and scouting tools to cheat, and let the game proceed normally, character points will generally not be consumed. On the contrary, every cheat will consume 1 character point. Finally, what Lee Tongfan wants to scold most is that until now he has not discovered how to obtain character points. After deducting the original 100 character points used for language cheating and maintaining the normal operation of the system in the past 2 weeks, there are only 93 points left. Lee Tongfan seemed to see the god of the underworld, the old man, smiling slyly and using a bright little knife to make gestures on his tender neck. P.S. There will be another update around 12 o'clock in the evening. As promised to a certain reader friend, the saved manuscripts are almost gone. Please support me, and I will soon reach the top 10 of newcomers. Chapter 18, a warm-up match to tease you. In the next 3 warm-up matches, Lee Tongfan already knew the results of the games through the simulation of the game system, so he looked very naughty, but the outside world doesn't see it that way. Flaws and the others are all waiting eagerly, like hungry wolves. As long as there is any opportunity to take advantage of it, they will definitely swarm up and tear Lee Tongfan away from his flesh and blood in an atmosphere full of storms. On July 9th, Real Madrid faced Inter Milan from afar at home. Lee Tongfan arranged the same starting lineup as the one against Osasuna. Amid the huge noise at the Bernabeu, after 90 minutes, Real Madrid lost the game at home 0-1. Swedish forward Ibrahimovic, the only goal in the 17th minute of the game, allowed Inter Milan to board the return flight happily. In addition, there is something even more frustrating for Real Madrid fans. Mohamed Diarra, a midfielder who was transferred from Ligue 1 hegemon Lyon for £18 million this season, was killed in the 70th minute of the game. He was injured and was diagnosed by the team doctor as an ankle sprain, which required him to be out for 4 weeks. What greeted Lee Tongfan after the game was, as expected, the crazy attacks from the floors. Various gossips were flying all over the sky. After a while, World Sports reported that Calderon could no longer stand Lee Tongfan's incompetence and was preparing to after the coaching change. Daily Sports reported that Real Madrid superstars were dissatisfied with Lee Tongfan's tactical arrangements and openly criticized the coach. In fact, some of the news is not unfounded. Calderon and Mijatovic did tactfully remind Lee Tongfan that they hope the team can win with a more balanced offense and defense. The pressure is like a mountain, slowly coming over with a shadow, but Lee Tongfan has no time for these birds and people to talk nonsense now. He needs to summarize the problems found in the game in time. The notebook he carries has already densely recorded the results of these 2 days. The conclusion drawn from a warm-up match, of course. The purpose of Leo's doing this is not to modify his tactics, nor because he wants to study hard and improve every day, but purely to make his future cheating in FM 2007 more purposeful. As expected, this powerful collision did expose many problems. Guta's condition is unstable, Raul is too slow, and Beckham lacks the ability to break through on the wing. Lee Tongfan wrote all these down in his notebook. These things written down in the notebook are the reasons why Lee Tongfan chose a top 3 for warm-up. As for the score, I'm just kidding you. On August 15th, Real Madrid ushered in its 3rd warm-up match opponent at home, the veteran Serie A powerhouse Fiorentina. Last season, Fiorentina was also involved in the Serie A Colgate that shocked the world of football. In the end, it was deducted 30 league points and ranked 9th in Serie A. However, compared with Juventus being directly relegated to Serie B, this punishment is not considered as breaking the bones. At 1900 hours in the afternoon, the referee Ricardo Albert Sequeira, my uncle, his name is so long, whistled and the game officially started. There were 31,673 spectators present. Lee Tongfan's starting lineup has been slightly adjusted. The 4-1-2-1-2 formation has not changed. The goalkeeper is still Casillas, defenders Robert Carlos, Joel Luca, Cannavaro, Ramos, and midfielder Gago replaces the injured Mohamed Diarra, partnering with strikers Riaz and Robinho, attacking midfielder Guti, and forwards Raul and Van Nistelrooy. Real Madrid adhered to the desperate nature of the last 2 games, and attacked with all their strength from the beginning. Fiorentina was not expecting it and was stunned by this Chen Yeojin's 3-point axe. In just 3 minutes, Raul took Guti's scalpel and made a direct pass into the backcourt. He succeeded in countering offside and passed the attacking Fiorentina goalkeeper Freddy. Single-handedly succeeded. The cheers at the Santiago Bernabeu resounded throughout the world. After Raul scored, he still kissed the ring, but attentive reporters found that, after kissing the ring, Raul glanced at the coaching bench in the distance, then raised his arms, flashing the atmosphere of the scene. Lee Tongfan also discovered this. Although there was no obvious provocation in Raul's eyes, it seems that problems will come sooner or later. Real Madrid attacked too fiercely and bombarded them without any reason or fear of death. By the time the Fiorentina players recovered from the shouts of Coach Prandelli, the first half of the game was almost over. Head coach Prandelli sat on the coaching bench with a calm face. Although the opening situation was beyond his expectation, but now, I heard that Real Madrid's coach is a newcomer with no coaching experience. Sure enough, such a style of play, after adjusting the midfield, he can defeat his opponents in 1,000 ways. Prandelli glanced at Lee Tongfan, who was standing on the sidelines dressed in black, and motioning for the players to continue pressing, and the corner of his mouth curled up. Young man, you are still far from there. At this moment, an accident happened on the field, in the stoppage time of the first half. Fiorentina made another mistake. Centre-back Uifalusi accidentally headed Ria's corner kick into his own goal under the personal interference of Ruud van Nistelrooy. Fiorentina goalkeeper Freddy, who has always played like a god, was easily deceived by Uifalusi's infernal affairs performance without any prior notice. At the end of the first half, Real Madrid led 2:0 from any angle. This was a perfect half, and the fans singing at the Bernabeu said it all. Prandelli frowned. This goal was a bit of luck, but thinking about the opponent's mature rookie coach, he was soon relieved. As long as the tactics were adjusted properly in the second half, everything would be fine. With the singing of Real Madrid fans, 15 minutes passed in a flash and the second half of the game began. Lee Tongfan replaced Gago with Beckham, Raul with Higuain, Guti with Modric, and Roberto Carlos with Marcelo, and continued to press forward and attack. As for letting Beckham play as a defensive midfielder, this was a new idea of Lee Tongfan after the last game against Inter Milan. Since Beckham, who is about to become old Beckham, has a shameful breakthrough ability, let's try to be a Pirlo-type organizing defensive midfielder. However, the situation on the field has changed. Fiorentina changed its tactics significantly during the halftime break, leaving only Romanian striker Mutu and Italian striker Pinto in the front court, and started to play a defensive counter-attack. The scene was tense for a while. P.S. Today is a big bleeding. 3 chapters updated. I admit that I was tempted by someone. Zyodeo writes 1000 words per hour. 6000 words takes 8 hours. And basically I have to revise it 2 or 3 times every time I upload it. And then let my lovely girlfriend check if there are any not suitable for children plots or typos. So it's very slow. I hope everyone will be patient. Promote the book friends group. 6,159,252. I hope all book friends will join in strongly. Chapter 19. The charlatan said, believe in your players. The form on the court has changed. Fiorentina obviously changed their tactics during the halftime break. Only Romanian forward Mutu and Italian local striker Pinto were left in the front court. They simply started a defensive counter-attack, and the scene became anxious for a while. 15 minutes later, Real Madrid's attack was still thunderous and rainy. The efficiency is pitiful, but Fiorentina occasionally made wonderful counter-attacks. With the strong personal dribbling ability of forward Mutu, they got several good shooting opportunities. If Casillas hadn't been brave, the score on the field might have changed. Fiorentina head coach Prandelli looked natural and sat steadily on the coaching bench, as if it was not them who were lagging behind, but Real Madrid. Everything is under the control of the old fox. On the other side, there were people who couldn't sit still. Lee, why don't you let the boys take it back first? We are pressing too hard now. There will be problems if we continue to fight like this. Assistant coach Grad was a little worried. Florence head coach Prandelli is famous for being scheming, but he can't. Only by being careless and careful can you make a ship of 10,000 years. Don't worry, we will score a goal soon. Old man, you have to believe in your players. Lee Tongfan turned around and pointed at the Real Madrid players on the field, leaving Grad with a sly smile full of self-confidence. Grad was stunned, and suddenly there was an indescribable feeling in his heart. Thinking about the various miracles this man had shown before, the thief's smiling face in front of him seemed to have an indescribable charm, which made him my heart, which was still up and down, slowly calmed down so much, so that Lee Tongfan gave him the nickname Leo Gen intentionally or unintentionally, but Grad subconsciously nodded and accepted it. It seems that Lee Tongfan has harmed a pure heart unconsciously. Sure enough, Lee Tongfan was right. In the 57th minute of the game, Beckham, who was playing as a defensive midfielder for the first time, ran with all his strength. In the backcourt, Fiorentina forward Pinto received the ball. He raised his head and made a long pass from the left wing. Higuain didn't wait for the ball to hit the ground and gently used the arch of his foot. Van Nistelrooy in the penalty area leaned on Uefalusi and scored with his left foot. What a tragedy. Uefalusi classmate. Counting the own goal in the first half, Uefalusi has been beaten twice by Van Nistelrooy. Fortunately, Fiorentina coach Pradelli does not have the world famous headgear of Sir Alex Ferguson. God bless him not to suffer from fanny phobia. Seeing this goal, the smile on Pradler's face, who was still sitting on the diote, froze, as if he had been slapped several times loudly without mercy, and his face turned as hen. Looking at the calm looking rookie next to Real Madrid's coaching bench, Prandelli had mixed feelings. Could it be that this young man had planned everything? He knew he would choose to defend and counter-attack, so he used a plan to attack. However, if you want to break the Italian-style counter-attack, you can only use the sharpest spear to defeat your opponent in one go before you are injured. From the violent attack at the beginning to the non-relaxation after taking the lead, is everything under the control of this junior. In this case, he would be terrible. Prandelli finally put away his contempt. Hoo-la-la. After Ruud van Nistelrooy scored, the cheers at the Bernabeu reached their climax. Even Raul and Guti, who were a little depressed because they were replaced early, also showed a little smile on their faces. It's great. I really scored. How did you know you would score? Oh, Lee, you are so incredible. Greed jumped up excitedly. To be honest, he was covered in the media. After losing to Inter Milan, he was scolded. Although he was only an assistant coach, this old man was already a bit too much. How could I know? Can I tell you that I actually found out the score through FM 2007 before the game even started? Lee Tongfan smiled and began to show off his true qualities. Old Jet, as a head coach, you must always believe in your players and not be afraid of the man sitting on the opponent's coaching bench. That uncle now refers to Prandelli, the head coach of Florence. The honest Greed accepted the lesson with an open mind. Suddenly enlightened, took out a delicate little notebook from his pocket and wrote down this golden rule in it. A diligent and studious man. In the end, the two sides ended the game 3:1 point in the 90th minute. Marcelo, who was furious, needlessly cut Fiorentina's ace Muto in his own penalty area and gave the opponent a penalty kick. Italian midfielder Montolivo took the penalty. After the ball was bravely saved by Casillas, Muto followed up with a supplementary shot. Real Madrid was tragedy at the last moment. When the players from both sides left the field, Real Madrid fans stood up and sang the team song Come On, Madrid, and there was sparse applause when Lee Tongfan pretended to wave. This is a good sign. At least some fans have accepted this young and outrageous team coach. For fans, apart from results, everything else is nonsense. So after Leo Lee specially comforted the slightly injured little man Marcelo, he ran over to shake hands with the long-faced Fiorentina coach Prandelli. The villain succeeds. In an interview with reporters after the game, the old Florence Fox Prandelli boasted that Lee Tongfan, a junior, uses soldiers like a god. Note, Leo Lee translated it himself. But Lee Tongfan was rare and humble. Damn it, the old man wants to trick me. He wants to lift labor and capital to the highest level and then have a free fall. Lee Tongfan saw through Prandelli's bad intentions. On August 20th, Real Madrid faced the last opponent in the warm-up match, the Premier League giant Manchester United. This matchup, like Mars hitting the earth, attracted the attention of many TV stations around the world. In total, more than 60 TV stations in 20 countries broadcast the game. According to statistics from Real Madrid's technical department, the TV broadcast revenue alone has reached an astonishing more than £2 million, not to mention other on-site advertising revenue. After Lee Tongfan knew this set of figures, he immediately lost his mind and became extremely mentally unbalanced. Uncle, just one warm-up match is as much as a year's income from labor and management. This bitch doesn't even think about how much he earns in a year. People have to fight tooth and nail to earn it all their lives. People are so dissatisfied. P.S. I modified it in the background before posting, so it's a bit late. Sorry. Another note, this week's essence has been distributed. Xiaodao has now become a man with no sperm and a weak kidney. Therefore, all book friend speeches will be given extra points and encouragement, and there is no way to give the essence. Book Club Group 6,159,252. Welcome everyone to insert. Chapter 20. The boy turns over and sings. The 3:1 victory against Fiorentina in the last game made flaws and others verbal criticism of Lee Tongbiam and Real Madrid disappear for a while Real Madrid fans and neutral football media who were still waiting to watch began to pay attention to this game. Have confidence, but they were all disappointed. It turned out that Real Madrid's new rookie head coach was a complete bastard who didn't play by the rules, because in the starting lineup for the warm-up match against Manchester United, the young ladies happily sang and took up most of the lineup. Raul, Guti, Roberto Carlos, Ramos and other experienced players all sat on the bench and counted their toes in boredom. Marcelo serves as the left back, Real Madrid's second line. Player Miguel Torres serves as the right back. Centre back Joel Luca partners with Cannavaro, defensive midfielder Gago, attacking midfielder Modric, winger Robinho and Reyes, striker Higuain joins hands with Van Nistelrooy. The average age of the players on the starting roster is less than 23 years old. Even the two old men in the lineup, Ruud Van Nistelrooy and Cannavaro, these two brothers only joined Real Madrid this season. What a great lineup. Can it be done with these little guys? Everyone has questions, in the complicated mood of the fans, who were as uneasy as holding back their urine. At the 28th minute of the game, Marcelo, the young boy who cut Fiorentina striker Mutu in the last game, continued to carry forward the tackle first, but pass the ball. Chinese Kyuju team style, unceremoniously knocked down Manchester United forward Xiaodao in the front of Real Madrid's penalty area. The referee on duty immediately rushed over and gave Marcelo a Topaz God of War card and awarded Manchester United a direct free kick. Fuck. All the Real Madrid fans covered their faces in groans. The camera of the TV broadcast was deliberately focused on Real Madrid coach Lee Tongfan, who was standing on the sidelines supervising the battle. Everyone wanted to know what attitude this rookie coach would take in response to Marcelo, the young Brazilian boy who made 2 consecutive fatal mistakes, swearing, throwing a mineral water bottle in anger, or a few international greetings starting with F and S coming out of the big mouth under the black lenses. But they were disappointed. Lee Tongfan was clapping and applauding Marcelo, who was a little timid on the court, and gave a thumbs up. It seemed that Marcelo would be unjust if he didn't do this. Well, we have to admit that the new head coach of Real Madrid really cares about young players. At least this is better than Rosenberg. Before the game, the Bernabeu on-site commentator, who was told by the club's top management that he must maintain a positive image of the team's head coach, had a glorious and arduous task. After searching for a long time, he finally found a justifiable reason to praise Lee Tongfan. Manchester United's free kick was taken by the old and strong Welsh magic winger Giggs. The ball was caught in the wind and rushed into the intersection of the post and the crossbar in the upper right corner of the goal. It was used by a certain player who became famous all over the world in the just concluded World Cup in Germany. ZHI, a Chinese commentator named Huang, said that this is an absolute theoretical dead end, and Saint Cassie is powerless to save it. The game continued, and in the 45th minute, Ruud Van Nistelrooy grabbed a point in the penalty area to help Real Madrid equalize the score. In the 65th minute, Manchester United forward Xiaodao received a pass from super substitute Solskjaer and shot a low shot through the gate of Real Madrid. In the 70th minute, Robinho got the ball in the midfield and passed 3 Manchester United defenders. His long shot from the front of the penalty area was bravely saved by Edwin van der Sar. A hero rushed out of the diagonal shot and scored. It turned out to be Higuain. In the 88th minute, Solskjaer once again showed his heroic nature as a super substitute, catching a mistake in coordination between Real Madrid centre-back Joel Luca and Carravero, and scored a goal. The first, well, no more. The game is over. Real Madrid lost the game 2:3! During the game, people were surprised to find that the Real Madrid coach, in addition to standing on the sidelines and constantly encouraging the young players, also held a high-end camera from time to time to capture the game. Greed curiously asked Lee Tongfan, "Lee, are you recording the game data?" "It's not necessary. We can get the full video as soon as the game is over." Grad pointed to the cameras around the stadium. "There are lenses from all angles. It's easier to study tactics this way than using photos." "Oh, this is it?" Lee Tongfan put down the camera in his hand, like a virgin whose thoughts were revealed, and replied coyly, "Oh, to be honest, Leo Jet, I will forget it if you don't remind me already. Damn it, I'm studying shitty tactics. I just wanted to take some photos of the Manchester United stars from a distance, so that I could show them off to my grandsons back home." Forget it. My hands were shaking so much that the images I took were even worse. More so than Picasso's abstract oil paintings. Lee Tongfan thought about it and ended his candid photography plan bitterly. Real Madrid's first 4 warm-up games of the season have all ended with a record of 2 wins and 2 losses, scoring 5 goals and conceding 5 goals. According to Lee Tongfan, from the perspective of pure mathematical theory, this is a perfect 50-50 score, and no one can who do IO. It's a pity that the media and fans didn't buy it. Although the opponents in the warm-up matches were not weak, the 2 games Real Madrid won were the 4th and 3rd worst among the 4 opponents. The 2 games that were really strong compared to Inter Milan and Manchester United. The dialogue was tragic. Will the team continue the bad habit of being impotent against strong teams in previous seasons? This is not the result we want. PS. Sweat. There was a problem when updating, and part of the content of the previous chapter was brought over. I modified it in the background. I don't know what happened, but the previous chapter has not been modified. The number of words in this chapter is actually enough. Xiaodao will pay attention next time. Thank you Yi Mengd, Wan Lu, Yi Chili, Necromancer, Ban Xianayu, Jiang Yu and other great people for their full marks. Because it is a warm-up match, it is written very briefly. Finally, the questions group is still unsatisfied. If you like this book, please join us. 6,159,252 Chapter 21 Prevent others from picking peaches. For a period of time after the 4 warm-up matches, Lee Tongfan was like a sweet potato placed on the crater of a volcano. When roasted, it was charred on the outside and tender on the inside. The yellow color exuded a charming aroma, and everyone wanted to pounce on it and take a few bites. Have fun. The fans just paid it off. After all, it was not a formal game, and the team's lineup still needed to be adjusted. Moreover, Real Madrid's desperate momentum and coquettish and gorgeous coordination displayed in the game were quite pleasing to the eye, so they could continue to tolerate Lee Tongfan for a while. But the media, who make a living by fanning the flames and making a living, don't think so, adhering to the usual bullshit style of if you say you can't do it, you can't do it, and if you can, you can't do it. The Lee Blacks led by World Sports Editor-in-Chief Flaws launched the last wave of offensive against Lee before the season. The tragedy of the Titanic may happen again. The galactic battleship sails into the dark abyss. Croatian parallel imported corpse meal. Raul Guti bombards the rice bucket. China. Lee is embarrassed to take on the heavy responsibility. Calderon secretly contacts Schuster during this period. Calderon did secretly meet with Lee Tongfan once. The old man obviously lost the enthusiasm of the previous meetings. Mr. Fantong, the board of directors hopes that the team's record can be more stable. You have to know that we are Real Madrid, not the Chinese national team. Sorry, I may lack respect for your motherland when I say this, but I hope you understand what I mean. Otherwise, Please get out of here. Lee Tongfan understood what Calderon meant. What nonsense. Even if Mourinho comes, it is impossible to make the team invincible immediately, let alone the opponents are Inter Milan and Manchester United. Lee Tongfan cursed for a while, temporarily suppressed his explosive temper, and patted his chest to reassure himself. The first exchange between the two about the team's record, although it cannot be said to be pleasant, was still amicable. LO. Meet again. Dividing line equals blow a ball, blow a big balloon. The Chinese guy who was described by the media as embarrassed by the heavy responsibility was happily sitting in a Chinese barbecue restaurant called Meetings from 1,000 miles away near his residence, fighting over a plate of honey-glazed chicken legs, while humming the famous ditty of the second senior brother ZHU Wunanging Journey to the West. I watched the watery waitress twist her round little, but to greet the guests, in the words of Aunt Kyung Yeo, she was in a good mood. Incredible. As for media comments, screw them. Let him be wild. Let him be wild. The breeze blows on the hills. Let him be wild. Let him be wild. The bright moon shines on the river. Lee Tongfan patted the small book in his bag that was filled with cheating plans and thought to himself, when the labor and management finish eating the chicken legs, they will cheat, and then all of you will be so shocked that you bite off your tongues. Turn Beckham into an animal waste. Turn Felielio into an alien again. Roland Guti, change or stay the same. Big change or small change. Hey, everything is possible. Back at his residence, Lee Tongfan opened a small black book filled with cheating tips. With a proud smile on his face, he looked at the familiar names and slowly considered which star to favor first. This feeling is really ecstasy, like an emperor sitting on a throne high above, holding the power of life and death. Scanning the trembling courtiers below, rewarding whoever likes him with vast hectares of fertile land and countless lalita, and immediately infiltrating anyone who is displeased. Cheyenne Leo, Kiahao asked and beheaded. The only criterion for Lee Tongfan's selection is emotion. You must know that this guy was an angry youth fan before he became famous, so Leo Lee decided to start from the perspective of an emotional fan and improve the abilities of those who love him. Anyone who doesn't call will be wasted. Well, if you don't call, forget it. Modifications will consume character points, and the remaining 90 points of quick acting jukes and pills can't be spent randomly. Through 4 warm-up games, Lee Tongfan has discovered many problems in Real Madrid's front, middle and back lines. However, as an offensive maniac, the first choice for cheating is still concentrated in the front court. After thinking over and over again, Lee Tongfan decided to use Beckham and Ronaldo. Get the surgery. The reason why only 2 people were selected is that on the one hand, the more players are modified, the more character points are consumed. Although Aoli's character is still strong at present, he cannot stand up to the large number of people, so at present, he can only be favored at most 2 people. On the other hand, as an ordinary fan, Leoli often felt sad for Felielio's endless injuries, and often felt sad that Beckham always lingered outside the footballer. Therefore, as a hidden fans, Lee Tongfan needs to do something for his idol. Felielio's modification is easy to handle. This guy's already very capable, as long as the injury tendency in the player's ability attribute is reduced. If you want to further turn him into another player after Pelé Maradona, for a monster on the field, you can also increase its potential attribute a little, or reduce the fat and trembling fat, and everything will be perfect. As for Beckham, Lee Tongfan thought over and over again, and decided to change the heartthrob into a peerless beast. The 31-year-old Beckham can be regarded as a model of professional players. Although his breakthrough and short passing abilities are far inferior to Riaz and Robinho, his long distance passes and free kicks are extremely accurate, and his running ability is strong. If you don't modify him, it is a pity to become a combination of Gattuso and Pirlo. However, in this case, the positions of the team's 2 original defensive midfielders Gago and Mohamed Diarra will be unstable. Fortunately, the little boy Gago is still young and can be slowly developed as a substitute. If he performs well. Note, the good here does not refer to good performance on the court, but respect, love, and support for the head coach. You can consider consuming a few character points to repair him into Beckham. As for Mohamed, there is no way. This guy is so dark, so he is dark. He is not as handsome as Robinho, so it is really hard to love him. It is better to bear it and continue to lie on the sick bed to treat his ankle. Other positions are not considered for the time being. After making up his mind, Lee Tongfan drew a heavy circle on the names of Ronaldo and Beckham, and then prepared to open the game and FM millimeters to cheat. No, Lee Tongfan suddenly realized a problem. If the data was modified silently, who would know his contribution? Maybe the rosacea-nosed Real Madrid team doctor will say that he cured Ronaldo's patellar fracture with a secret recipe passed down from his ancestors for 18 generations. Or the fat-faced fitness coach will say that Beckham's sudden transformation into a beast waste is actually the latest result of his aerobic training. PS. To be honest, since I started writing, Xiaodao has never thought about writing any philosophical, realistic, or science fiction masterpieces. I'm just a small person struggling to make ends meet. If it weren't for my girlfriend who has been silently supporting me, Xiaodao would have put down his pen and sat in the office long ago. A friend left a comment in the book review area, and Xiaodao deleted the post in excitement. Sorry, if you are still reading this book, I apologize to you. A great god taught Xiaodao not to read the book review area, which can easily hurt you, but Xiaodao thinks that every reader's comment is the greatest support for Xiaodao, so as long as I have time to write, I will reply one by one. This is respect for friends. I didn't expect that I would be hurt. I'm really fragile mentally. Thank you all for your support. Thank you. There is too much nonsense, but the text is still enough. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 22 Network Core Training Method. In order to make the plot more coherent, a short paragraph from the previous picture is also added to this chapter, and it does not count towards the word count of this chapter. == not right. Lee Tongfan suddenly realized a very serious problem. If the data was modified silently, who would know his credit? Maybe the rosacea-ridden Real Madrid team doctor will say that Fenelio's patellar fracture was cured by himself using a secret recipe that has been passed down for 18 generations. Or that the flesh-faced physical fitness coach will say that Beckham's sudden transformation into a peerless beast waste was actually his own arrangement. The latest results in aerobic training. It doesn't matter if some peaches are picked by others, but some peaches must be kept for yourself to enjoy. Thinking of this, Lee Tongfan decided to postpone the modification. Before that, he must adopt a method that can clearly highlight the glorious image of our old Li Yingming, unparalleled and omnipotent great head coach, and remove this watery red peach. Pick it off and enjoy it yourself. What can we do about it? Time passed, and after consuming more than 2,500 precious brain cells, Lee Tongfan suddenly looked up to the sky and laughed wildly, lying on the table, and began to write furiously. The next day, Madrid Sports City. Hey, David, come here. Assistant coach Grad stood on the sidelines and shouted to Beckham, who was training with his teammates. Great, what's the matter? Beckham picked up the towel and wiped his sweat while running over. It's not me who has something to do, but Mr. Fantang. I want you to come over now. Grad pointed to Lee Tongfan's office. Beckham thanked him and walked to the office with a puzzled look on his face. Strange. Why are you looking for me? As Beckham walked, he slowly reviewed the past few warm-up matches and his recent training in his mind. It seemed that he had not shown any violation of the team's requirements. How could he be the first to find him? Could it be? Thinking of this, Beckham smiled bitterly. He was getting older, and his speed and physical fitness were far inferior to before. In several warm-up matches, except for the first game against Osasuna, Lee Tongfan arranged for him to play as a wing midfielder. He rotated with the newly joined defensive midfielder Gago. In this new position, his performance was not good. It seems that the new head coach has a problem with him. Old, no matter how talented you are, you will never be able to defeat the silent erosion of time, such as Pele, Maradona, Beckenbauer, Zidane, such as yourself. Since ancient times, beauties are like good generals, and they are not allowed to grow old in the world. Anyway, a wealthy club like Real Madrid that values profits over righteousness has never been a warm place for veterans to live in their old age. It is time for soldiers who have an ironclad camp and flowing water to leave. You must not accept old age. Maybe I should really consider Victoria's opinion and go to Major League Baseball to happily enjoy football at the end of my career. However, I'm really unwilling to leave like this. Boss, are you looking for me? Although the person sitting opposite him was a young man who was nearly 10 years younger than him. Beckham's professionalism was really impressive, and his words did not reveal the slightest contempt. Lee Tongfan looked at his idol up close and couldn't help but put away the teasing mood in his heart. In the words of an authoritative aunt in the cultivation world at Gideon, every pore in his body felt comfortable, but in order to maintain the dignity of his head coach, this guy still put on an international dead face that neither smiled nor angered. David, you know, your recent performance in the game is not very good. Sure. Enough. It came, and Beckham felt a chill in his heart. This can't go on like this. Lee Tongfan saw his heartthrob classmate's expression dim and knew that he was wrong. He could no longer care about selling out, so he quickly added, "You will be the core of my plan, David. I need your support both on and off the court." Oh, nuclear core? Beckham was stunned, thinking he heard wrongly. Yes, it's the core, David, but your position needs to be changed. Lee Tongfan took out a thick document from the drawer, handed it over, and said, "This is a new training plan I made for you. I hope you can support the team with a strong back, just like Pirlo and Gattuso did in Milan." Pirlo and Gattuso. Beckham took the information in confusion and found that the word core was printed in large cursive English on the first page of the information. The ink was dark and dignified, giving people a sense of trust. He then looked up at Lee Tongfan, who saw a pair of clear and sincere words. "SI's okay, I'll give it a try, but what's going on with this graphic? Do I need to follow this?" Beckham glanced at the training plan and found that there were some patterns mixed in the information, with various figures drawn on them. There are various little figures in strange postures, some sitting cross-legged, some making orchid fingers with their 10 fingers, and some doing handstands against the wall. What a fresh training method. Yoga or judo, Lee Tongfan explained with a serious face. "Yes, David, you know, I come from the mysterious ancient country in the east. This set of things is called cunning in our country. It is a magical skill passed down secretly by my ancestors of the Lee family for 18 generations. It can stimulate the body's energy. It has potential, is environmentally friendly, pollution free, and has no side effects. I would never tell an ordinary person about it." Beckham was in awe. "Oh, I know, Bruce Lee, showing off love examples of flight suits, Chinese kung fu." Lee Tongfan continued to lie. "Yes, it's kung fu. As long as you train according to this method, you will soon become the #1 midfielder on the court." Looking at Beckham, who was gratefully holding the so-called Kigan training method and excitedly rushing to test it, Lee Tongfan lay on the table and covered his mouth, almost laughing out of the overpass snack in his stomach. Come on, classmate Xiaobi, for this training plan, I bathed in incense and burned incense. With the help of Baidu Master, I copied and pasted all the online versions of Bodhidharma Yijin Sutra, 18 Palms of Subduing the Dragon, and Sunflower Book. The training plan is a cover-up, but what really works is of course the super invincible cheating device. After taking care of Xiaobi, Lee Tongfan turned his attention to Fei Luo, who was lying on the hospital bed battling a fractured patella. But this fat carrot is not as easy to deceive as the honest man Beckham. Lee Tongfan still has to use his brain a little more. The third day point in the Real Madrid infirmary, Ronaldo, who had just flown to France for expert consultation, came here on crutches to undergo a routine examination by the team doctor. "Hey, Ronnie, things are a little bad." Gonzalez Gudero, the big-nosed team doctor, took the results of the MRI and pressed his nose. "Have you been drinking again recently?" "Shit. The French guy who did the surgery didn't tell me not to drink." Bucero looked around and talked to him, his eyes flickering. Gonzalez was used to this and rubbed his nose. You are not the first to be injured, Ronnie. You should know this. What can I do? Gonzalez, I'm not here to listen to your complaints. P.S. Thank you, brothers, for actually pushing the knife to the top 10 of the new book list. Tomorrow, Monday, Zyodeo is going to hit the new book list, so I will try to update it 3 times a day, with the same number of words, about 2,000 words. I hope everyone can continue to support Zyodeo. Regarding the current problems in this book, Zyodeo will open a separate chapter later, to explain to the readers. Chapter 23 Kigen Masterly Tongfan. Zyodeo wants to hit the newcomer list this week. Today is the 3rd update, and we urgently need the support of everyone. Gonzalez was used to this, and rubbed his nose. This is not the first time you have been injured, Ronnie. You should know this. What can I do? Gonzalez, I'm not here to listen to your complaints. There's no way. Unless you quit drinking. Even then, you still have to take a month off before you can play. Shit. Ronaldo threw away the crutch in his hand in disappointment, and then, on a shrill scream, damn it, who attacked the labor force? Lee Tongfan rushed in, covering the blood-red bump on his head. Resacia and Fetty Luo were both dumbfounded. Do you have any treatment, Fatty? Luo and Gonzalez screamed in unison. Resacia Gonzalez was full of doubt and contempt. Fatty Luo's plump face showed 3 parts suspicion, 3 parts surprise, and 4 parts expectation. Lee Tongfan said in a serious manner, and his true colors as a great player reappeared. Yes, I was originally unwilling to take action, but Ronnie is an important member of the team and the league is about to start. I can't wait until a month later. After a while, Gonzalez blushed and said, you dare to compete with me for your job? Let me tell you, Chairman Calderon is my uncle. Sweat. Countless black lines appeared on Lee Tongfan's forehead. It doesn't matter that Mr. Chairman is your biological father. I need Ronnie to recover within 3 days. Can you do it? Resacia's eyes widened with disbelief on his face. 3 days? Do you think I'm God? If you can let this fat man play football within 3 days, I will take your last name. Gonzalez was already so angry with Lee Tongfan that he spoke indiscriminately. He called Fetty Luo fatty in front of Ronaldo. You know, this is Fetty Luo's reverse scale, so Fetty Luo got mad. Needless to say, I agree to receive treatment from Mr. Rice Tong. Yes, okay, pay attention. Look at my gestures. Sit on the edge of the bed. Lift your leg as high as you can. Use your uninjured leg to stamp on the ground as hard as you can. 1, 2, 3, 10. Okay, that's it. How do you care? Are your legs numb? Bang 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 bang. Fetty Luo stomped his feet 10 times following Lee Tongfan's gestures and nodded. I'm numb. Gonzalez stood aside and watched, wondering, why is it numb? Lee Tongfan snickered. You'll be numb if you stamp on me. Uncle Ben's hand jumped out waving a small flag. Protest. Kaiguogo's plagiarism. Attention. I'm going to use Kigen next. Close your eyes and don't look. Otherwise, the Kigen will be distracted, and I will go crazy. When Fetty Luo and Gonzalez both closed their eyes, Lee Tongfan pretended to do a prick. Stepping forward, he slowly pushed his arms towards Fetty Luo's injured leg, and then quickly fanned a cool breeze over them, while the two of them weren't paying attention. How are you? Do you feel a bit chilly? Lee Tongfan asked Fetty Luo seriously, after finishing his work. Well, it seems like the wind is blowing. Hearing Fetty Luo's answer, Resacia Gonzalez's eyes widened in disbelief. Okay, the treatment is over. Lee Tongfan wiped the sweat from his forehead due to the jab, carefully took out a small ceramic bottle from his arms, and handed it to Fetty Luo. This is the medicine that can cure hundreds of injuries in Chinese legends. Safflower oil. Use it to soak your feet after you go home at night, and you can play in the game tomorrow. Fetty Luo happily took the small bottle, glared at Gonzalez, and left the infirmary on crutches. Team Dr. Gonzalez looked at Lee Tongfan. His face turned blue and red, and he taunted fiercely. If this fat guy can really play tomorrow, I will take your last name. Lee Tongfan left him with a strange smile. Back in the office, Lee Tongfan sat on the big leather swivel chair and let out a sigh of relief. He finally solved 2 of his worries. He hoped that the alien who had disappeared from the earth for many years could return to the court, and that he had been criticized for so long. If Beckham can successfully transform at the end of his career, he must at least win the highest honor of a professional player, world footballer. In less than a week, the La Liga season will officially kick off, and your real test is about to come. An unknown laid-off young man suddenly took over the most famous wealthy team in the world. The media spotlight is always shining on his every move, word, and deed. If Lee Tongfan hadn't been such a bastard, if he hadn't been holding a life-saving super cheat, I'm afraid I couldn't bear the pressure, and jumped off the building to commit suicide. He raised his wrist, and looked at the time. It was already past 6 o'clock in the afternoon. At this time, the players had already finished their training for the day, and were driving home. It's embarrassing to say that, although he is the head coach of the team, assistant coach Grad has always been in charge of daily training. Instead, Lee Tongfan, the real head coach, is passing by the training ground all day long. No, you need to change it in the future. If you continue like this, it will be easy to become alienated from the players, and lose the authority of the head coach and the control of the team. After thinking a lot, Lee Tongfan patted the stiff muscles on his face, and prepared to pack his things and go home. Boom, the office door was suddenly kicked open. A big man with a sinister face rushed in, pointed at Lee Tongfan, who was sitting behind the desk, and yelled, "What's wrong with you? If you don't understand, don't interfere indiscriminately. Just take your salary, you Chinese yellow pig." White spittle flew everywhere, and the big man almost pressed against Lee Tongfan to lift him out from behind the table. Lee Tongfan was startled. After the big man finished cursing, he vaguely recognized that this guy with a mouth that smelled worse than a toilet bowl turned out to be Angelo Mida, the physical coach of the first team. Strange. Where did you provoke this big stupid bear? But what did he just say? Chinese yellow-skinned pig. Fuck. Lee Tongfan's eyes turned cold, and he stood up and stared at Angelo without any intention of giving in. What's going on? Explain the matter clearly. What kind of crappy training plan did you give David? Do you want to play house? Go home and find your mother to nurse. At this time, assistant coach Greed, lawn maintenance man Hute, and others who had not left the training ground heard the noise and hurried over. Lee Tongfan looked through the door kicked by Angelo and found that there were several people in the distance. The first team players who didn't come to start were looking around. "You're crazy, Mida," apologized Lee quickly. Greed winked while trying to pull this reckless man out. "Don't pull me." Angelo Mida, who was tall and strong, easily shook off Grad's hand and looked at Lee Tongfan teasingly. "The one who should apologize is this yellow-skinned pig, the incompetent Chinese. P.S. Roll. Why don't you let us be the main players, Guti? It's all because you watch Football Modifier and don't recommend it or add it to your favorites. You watch Fat Low and Heartthrob, both vote and comment. You're much smarter than the two of us. Roll. I regret it so much. Thank you Wang Lu for sparing no effort to help promote Xiaodao. Thank you for the evaluation votes of Captain Necromancer, Wandering D Butterfly, Gods Fighting the Past, and Book Friend 0906111206303881. Chapter 24. Who is behind the scenes? At this time, Lee Tongfan already understood what Angelo wanted to do. It's because of the training plan I gave Beckham. Angelo is the team's physical coach. He arranges for Beckham to train alone. He should really say hello to this fierce god. First point, however, it is no longer necessary. No matter who is right or wrong, Lee Tongfan has decided not to forgive this stupid Spanish bear. The open-mouthed yellow pig and incompetent Chinese have made Lee Tongfan have no patience to argue with him. Let the facts speak for themselves. If Beckham's training method is better than yours, what should you do? Lee Tongfan stared at the menacing Angelo and asked word by word point. Everyone could hear the chill in his tone. Angelo was stunned and immediately said, "If this is the case, then I'm willing to apologize to you in public, but this situation is absolutely impossible." Lee Tongfan sneered. "Apologize? I'm sorry, I don't accept your apology. If I win, please pick up your luggage and get out of Madrid. There is no room for you here." Seeing Angelo's hesitant expression, Lee Tongfan added, "If it wasn't to prove my training plan, based on your behavior just now, as the head coach of the team, I can tell you to get out at any time." Angelo gritted his teeth and nodded. Okay, if I win, you have to get out. Chinese yellow-skinned pig, Lee. Tongfan didn't even look at him and sat back on the swivel chair. I'm sorry, you are not qualified to say such things to me, Mr. Physical Coach. Coward, you will regret it, Angelo said with a blushing face and walked away. Greed and others looked at this scene and didn't know what to say. Point back at his residence, Lee Tongfan analyzed what happened today in detail and felt more and more that Angelo, a reckless man, seemed to be taken advantage of by someone. If it's just because of the Beckham training plan, even as a physical fitness coach, there is no need to get so angry. You must know that even in an amateur team, such a blatant challenge to the head coach's authority is akin to eating arsenic with an old birthday star. Long life makes no difference, but something happened so strangely. There are two explanations for it. Either Angelo Mida is mentally retarded, or someone is causing trouble behind the scenes. Now it seems that, although Angelo has well-developed limbs and a simple mind, he is definitely not mentally retarded to the same extent as Fat Pig Liu. So the only possibility is the second possibility. In fact, Lee Tongfan had long expected that things like today would happen. He was now just like an unknown soldier leading a group of arrogant generals in war. Regardless of his age and seniority, he was not worthy of carrying someone else's shoes. Although he had the appointment of Real Madrid's board of directors temporarily stabilizes the situation, but it cannot solve all problems. The physical fitness coach Angelo Mida is just a daredevil. If his attitude is a little weaker, countless Angelo will spring up like mushrooms after a rain. Even having a cheat device won't help, but who could lose control so quickly and start playing tricks behind his back? Club executives. Lee Tongfan thought hard and couldn't figure it out. Since he couldn't figure it out, Lee Tongfan simply put it aside and stopped thinking about it. Compared to this matter, there were more important things waiting for him to do. Modifier and Aldo's data. If Fenielio took the bottle of safflower oil mixed with soy sauce, rice vinegar, mustard and sesame oil to wash his feet, and found that it had no effect, then he, the Kigan master, would be completely ruined. Click on the game and open FM data modifier. At the same time, after reading the archive, Ronaldo's detailed attributes are at a glance. First of all, in the personality column in the basic situation category of the data modifier page, there was indeed a small green check mark behind the injury sub-item, indicating that Fenielio was suffering from an injury. Lee Tongfan, click the small check mark with your mouse. Ding. Dong. This modification consumes 1 character point. Do you want to confirm? Yes. Then, the little check mark disappeared. This means that within a few hours, Fenielio will happily discover that the Kigan and safflower oil of the magical coach Mr. Fantong are indeed shocking, and he will regain his health. Lee Tongfan thought of this. A proud smile appeared on his lips, and he clicked to enter the ability category of the data modifier. After glancing at the data, he couldn't help but be surprised. Darling, no wonder this fat guy has suffered major injuries and minor injuries. His injury tendency is as high as 80. This is an absolutely authentic glass man. With such a carrot physique, it would be unforgivable to not be injured, and it would be outraged by both humans and gods if Fenielio's injury tendency is not modified. Even if he is cured, by spending character points this time, he will have to lie back on the stretcher in a month or so. Asterisk teaches us that to solve problems we must grasp the principal contradiction. So Leoli gritted his teeth and spent some character points, changing the injury tendency to 0 in one breath. Now Fenielio really became an alien. To exaggerate, this guy went to a nightclub to pick up girls and drove drunk. In a car accident, the most serious thing is probably just a scratch on the skin. After revising these 2 items, Lee Tongfan pondered for a moment and found that just revising in this way was far from enough. Because in the plan, Ronaldo and Beckham will be the 2 players that he can rely on the most in the next long season. Since he has to modify it, he might as well modify it to be more terrifying, so that it has shocking abilities, so that he can better help himself win one game after another. Otherwise, minor repairs will only waste character points in vain. You can't catch a wolf without sacrificing a child, and you can't be a child's mother if you can't bear the pain of losing your chew. Damn it, let's fight. Lee Tongfan made up his mind with tears in his eyes, and then tremblingly modified several other data attributes of Fat Ronaldo. In the basic situation category, consume 1 point of character to increase his potential ability from 190 to 250. In the goalkeeping and position category, consume 1 point of character attribute to increase the value of forward position from 20 to 30. Note: 20 is already the maximum value in the game system. In the game habits category, consume 2 points of character to add the habit of going forward when there is a chance, and remove the habit of hesitating after getting the ball. PS. The manuscripts are gone like diarrhea, guys. Support Zyodeo. He is very badly ranked on the newcomer list. Please vote and collect him. The first update will be around 2000 hours in the evening. Chapter 25. Team Dr. Gonzalez Lee. After completing the initial revision of Feniluo, Lee Tongfan had tears in his eyes and calculated on his fingers. My dear mother, I have spent a total of 6 precious character points on my pink and tender little life. Wow, the old man of Hades, waving his sickle, is getting closer. As for Beckham's modifications, Lee Tongfan decided to wait for a while. On the one hand, he wanted to summarize his cheating experience after Feniluo's modifications came out. On the other hand, he gave Beckham a long-term training plan. If he only trained for a few days, as soon as the effect appears, it will easily arouse suspicion. Lee Tongfan rubbed his forehead a few times and sighed. Alas, the character points are falling. When will the days of only exporting, but not importing, come to an end? To put it harshly, the difficulty of earning character points is like eating shit, but the ease of spending character points is like having diarrhea. The next day, Madrid Sports City. Lee Tongfan came early in the morning with breakfast, and sat in the office, waiting for Feniluo to come and thank him. While humming a little tune and eating a burger, Lee happily imagined the scene of Feniluo falling to the ground in gratitude. Boss, you are really amazing. My admiration for you is like the surging Rhine River, which is endless, and like the overflowing Amazon River, which is out of control. Please accept me as your little brother. As he was thinking about it, someone couldn't help but giggle obscenely. Hey hey, hey hey hey, hey 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 hey, at this time, boom, the office door was kicked open again. Lee Tongfan couldn't hold back his breath and almost carried it away. Damn it, who the hell is kicking in the labor door again? Could it be that Angelo Mida rushed in again? When he looked up, he saw the team Dr. Gonzalez standing at the door with his mouth agape, his trembling hands unconsciously rubbing his rosacea, his whole body shaking like an electronic engine, and his eyes seemed to be in disbelief. See a ghost, boss. Starting from today, I will change my surname to Gonzalez Lee after you. How did you do it, Gonzalez? Was followed by Ronaldo, who had fully recovered. The fat on Ronaldo's face was trembling with excitement, because the results of the re-examination in the infirmary just now surprised everyone. In just one night, his big and small, the child's scarred legs, which had undergone more than a dozen surgeries, had miraculously recovered. The MRI revealed that even the scars from previous surgeries had disappeared without a trace. Such a miracle can only be explained by one reason. That is, yesterday Lee Tongfan's Kigan treatment and the bottle of strange smelling safflower oil worked. A miracle. Oh, no, it's a miracle. Just one night, thinking that he could run as fast as he wanted on the court, and could pass the opponent's goalkeeper and score the ball into an empty goal amidst the cheers of countless fans. Feniluo felt that this feeling of being reborn was like being reborn. Phew, false alarm. It turned out that he was not here to cause trouble. After figuring out the reason, Lee Tongfan accepted the admiration of Feniluo and Gonzalez without any humility. After finally sending away the grateful Ronaldo and the team Dr. Gonzalez who insisted on studying under him, Lee Tongfan sat at his desk and watched Calderon ask the female secretary and translator Alex to send them away. I started to worry about the invitation. The draw ceremony for the top 32 groups of the UEFA Champions League will begin tomorrow. As the head coach of the team, I should go to the draw ceremony with club president Mijatovic, but I have no interest in this damn lottery ceremony at all. A group of world-class coaches are sitting together drinking tea, chatting and kicking. It's just asking for trouble for a nobody like me to go there. Besides, Federated States of Micronesia 2007 has already simulated the results of the lottery. If it doesn't work, let assistant coach Grad do it. KOKO was about to arrive when he said KOKO. He looked up and saw Honest Greed hurriedly passing by the office door with a hot dog in his mouth. Lee Tongfan was overjoyed and couldn't help but bring in the confused Grad. He expressed his thoughts tactfully. Old Jet, you see, the Champions League draw ceremony will be held tomorrow, but I'm busy with the team's tactical arrangements. I'm so worried. Why don't you go? Have some fun for me. Have fun. Grad couldn't help but feel angry. He had always led the players to train by himself. Instead, you, the head coach, stood on the side of the training field and pretended to be cool. How dare you say you were busy? But then I thought about all the amazing and strange things this man had done before, and then looked at Ronaldo, who had miraculously recovered overnight on the training ground in the distance. He succumbed to Lee Tongfan's pure and sincere expectations. Okay, I go call another troublesome thing has been solved. I really don't know how hard it is to be a master when you are not a master. There were so many problems when playing FM in the past. You can click on different small icons, and you can get an invincible record casually. How is it like reality? It's really tiring. No wonder everyone sleeps with the head coach, a profession that is most likely to be compromised. Lee Tongfan sighed and looked at the time. It was already 9 o'clock in the morning. It was estimated that the players had already arrived. He turned around, put on his sunglasses, and came to the training ground. The Real Madrid players who were doing warm-up training had long been accustomed to the head coach standing on the sidelines like fans, so even though they found that the black human-shaped statue appeared on the sidelines on time again, they still carried out training in an orderly manner after the warm-up. They were divided into groups for confrontation. Since Lee Tongfan knew that it was not clear who would get the starting position in the new season, there was no yellow and green vests symbolizing the starting position. All the players were divided into two groups according to their positions on the field, and they carefully practiced the Lee Tongfan produced, Greed processed 4-1-2-1-2 formation. Ronaldo, who made a magical comeback, was in a hot state. He scored 10 goals against the opponent in just 30 minutes, and there was a trend of getting more and more fierce, so that all the players looked at this fat man with incredible expressions. Did this guy secretly take Viagra before training? On the other hand, Beckham, who changed to play as a defensive midfielder, has not shown obvious progress for the time being. This is because Lee Tongfan has not favored him yet. However, since he learned about his friend's miraculous experience of recovery from injury during a casual chat with Ronaldo, Beckham has more expectations in his heart. Maybe this young head coach really wants to establish himself as the core. Let's take a gamble. The 2-hour training session ended quickly. Lee Tongfan thought about it and decided to give the players a day off. In 4 days, Real Madrid will face their first opponent of this season, Mallorca. All of the players smiled, sang praises, and fled the training ground with cheers. For Lee Tongfan, another lustful and passionate day has ended. P.S. Xiaodao admits that the first 2 chapters were stupid, which is a lesson for a novice. Thank you for the reminders from the 2 great people. Drop abolished and drop waste and read 30 books a day. Finally, during the new book rush, please continue to support Xiaodao. Otherwise, the ranking is very dangerous. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.